Hey, it's me. I'm back again. I'm here for a stream. This is going to be a shorter stream, not as long as the last one, because I don't got too much to show off today. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be showing off the final reviews for Interactive Entertainment issue 03 and the final episode of Dotto on Data on Doodoo. Sorry, I feel like someone took a baseball bat to my gut, so pardon me if I'm a little off today. I appreciate y'all. All right, so let's go to Interactive Entertainment 03. Let's get started. Let's, as the Cat in the Hat from the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat says, let's get this party started. I'm not the only one who remembers that, right? I am, probably. Hi, everybody. It's Sequest. Yeah, I need to recuperate from Ratmaster Ronnie as well. Ratmaster Ronnie is a little bit much. Hold on here. Let me move this. Let's see. While I get this started, what's going on with me today? Well, my gut's hurt, but I'm drinking green tea, and that's helping. And that's all. That's all the excitement for me today. I am actually a little tired still from all the Doonesbury. Cactus Bee, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We are going through
Cactus Bee just traded with 11 viewers.
Thank you. We are going through Interactive Entertainment issue 03, the final part. Let me just give a shout out real quick. Yeah, I spelled it right. Cool. Okay, so I thought that, sorry, I thought I typed it shower out, and I was like, no! Doesn't every Twitch streamer pretty much have permanent tummy hurt? Yes. Yes, we do. All right, let's get started here with issue 03 of Interactive Entertainment. Last I checked, we were in the reviews, so I think we got 3 pages of reviews to go through. 1 second here. Dotto on Data, I think, came before Dotto's Data Cafe. Oh man, I love this music. All right, let's go. All right, first up, where are the reviews? I wish that's the one thing that regular magazines don't have. GamePro didn't have jazz midis, and I think that's why it ended up failing. Okay. Were we on, I think we were here. Yeah, we were on IndyCar add-ons, and yeah, this is where we were. All right, folks, let's hear the reviews of IndyCar add-ons.
If you've ever played IndyCar racing, you've probably heard those famous words, I'm Paul Page. From Papyrus, this is IndyCar racing. Well, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Circuits expansion pack should be enough reason for you to hear those famous words a few hundred more times.
No question about it, Papyrus created one of the best racing simulations ever in IndyCar racing. With the addition of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Circuits add-ons, a great racing sim has just become even better.
The expansion packs have made the IndyCar experience complete. You get 8 new tracks based on the real
Long
tracks raced by
Beach! I
IndyCar
want to go to
drivers
Long
from
Beach.
around the world.
Take me to Long
The 8
Beach.
tracks included in the 2 expansion packs offer a variety of course types to choose from. You get a
Ooh,
challenging
variety.
road course in the Burke Lakefront Airport race facility, a short oval at Phoenix International Speedway, and the prestigious Indianapolis
actual
Motor
racing sim
Speedway,
company
which
made
many
this?
claim to
Cool.
be the greatest race course in the world. The IndyCar Circuits add-on
No
also
clue what
includes a
accent that
replay
was.
cut
That's like me
utility
trying to
and
do a
race
French
car settings
accent.
print option. The replay cut utility is a very nice feature because you can edit only the sections that you wish to view. The settings print utility is very helpful because you can print copies of your preferred car settings for different tracks and weather
Interactive
conditions.
I
Entertainment
agree. Both
is
utilities are
a
nice add-ons,
magazine,
but in most cases, they'll go
in
unused by gamers. To me, it seems
CD-ROM
difficult to
only
believe that many
magazine
people other
that
than the diehard
went on
IndyCar
for
fans will play
about
the game enough to
40
use and
issues or
benefit
so,
from the settings
and then it
print
eventually
utility.
got bundled
You're so
into
right. And there
another
can't be more than
magazine.
20
But
to
yeah, it started in
30,000 diehard
1994.
IndyCar fans, right?
And
Give me a
it's
break.
one of the
Included
original,
in the
it's just like
Indianapolis
straight
Motor Speedway
multimedia. It's really
expansion pack
interesting.
Is the race car paint kit, which lets you paint and detail an IndyCar or 10 of your very own. The only problem I had with the paint kit is that it's somewhat difficult to use. A few more options found in traditional paint programs would have made it much more appealing too.
True, it does lack some of the in-depth features that I would have included. For instance, the ability to drag and drop objects would have been nice. Another annoying aspect was that certain sections of the car could only be decorated in the decal shop. Paint shop allows you to paint the entire car, but not all the
So you
sections
could
appear
paint
that color
like
because they use the color
anything
designated
on
by the
this?
decal
That's
shop.
kind of
To
cool.
me, that is a drag.
Well, the paint kit does have its minor downfalls, but at least you have the option of
I
decorating
got a
and
lot to
painting
say about
your
this
own car.
paint kit.
You also have the option of importing a design from a paint
Oh, sorry.
program like Paintbrush.
Being able to import graphics from
Okay,
paint
I like the
programs makes
rat.
up for any
No,
gripes I
no,
might have with the
Ratmobile,
paint kit.
Ratmobile,
If Papyrus had
Ratmobile.
put the time and money into developing a better paint
Ratmobile,
program, the retail
Ratmobile.
price would have been much higher because you would effectively have been forced to purchase a full-blown paint
As I
program.
recall, this
Since everyone
was
who
strictly
owns Windows has
digital
Paintbrush,
until
why
they got
bother?
bundled with a
The road
magazine
courses
later
that are offered
on.
are really tough. It takes a lot of time to learn each track and even more time to become competitive. I think that Papyrus should incorporate a miniature map in one of the upper corners of the screen. The map could show your car in relation to the rest of the cars and position
Shout out
on the track.
Lexington,
Hello,
Ohio.
this is a simulation game, not one of your piddly 16-bit racing arcade games.
Yeah,
While
no
I'm sure
piddly
that
for
real
you.
indie drivers would love to have a heads-up display showing them the whole track and where they are on it. Somehow they make do without, and they don't even race with car damage disabled like you do.
Now, don't get me
Oh.
wrong, I'm not complaining, but I wish they had taken the opportunity to tweak the graphics a little in the upgraded version of the game that came with the expansion packs.
Picky, picky, picky. Look, the graphics are as good or better than any other racing game on the market, and the frame rate and look and feel are light years ahead of the competition.
I said I wasn't complaining.
You're right. Sorry. Somehow I mistook your pitiful whining for complaining.
IndyCar racing has some detailed features that I really like, but I think that the sound could use a touch more realism, don't you?
To tell you the truth, I think the sounds are great. Look, why do you keep going on about
I
IndyCar
absolutely
itself? We're
imagine there
supposed
were a
to be
lot of
reviewing
filthy
the
things
expansion
drawn
packs.
on with that
If you
paint
weren't
kit.
completely infatuated with the game, you'd see my point.
Well, before we get completely off on a tangent, I guess we'd better wrap this up.
I would say that any serious IndyCar player would get a lot of mileage out of the IndyCar expansion packs. Between the paint kit,
I know, the
replay
sexual
utility,
tension
settings, print
between these
utility,
people
additional
is
tracks,
off
and
the
the software
charts.
upgrade, almost anyone should be able to find something to justify the $20 price tag.
Amazing. For once you said something coherent and you didn't even stutter. Now, if you'll excuse me, the Brickyard awaits.
All right,
If you
let's hear the pros.
Between the two expansions, there's a ton of new stuff for IndyCar, so you're likely to find at least something you're happy with. The tracks are of the same high quality as those shipped with the original game.
And the cons?
The paint kit could be easier to use, and some gamers may be a bit put out that Indianapolis Motor Speedway only comes with one track. Also, it would be nice if in addition to printing out a car configuration, you could save it to a file on your hard drive.
Finally, we see the also try back. What else should we try? Formula 1 GP and World Circuit. That seems kind of obvious, but that's fine. Okay, let's go back to reviews. Inherit the Earth.
It would be really easy to get the
Quest
wrong
for the
idea
orb!
about Inherit the Earth, Quest for the Orb. All the characters are animals, and the box bears the fake
What?
MPAA rating GA for general audiences. The
What?
obvious conclusion is
Furries
that this game
and
is meant for the
orbs?
kiddies, and it ain't necessarily so.
Well, you know, the animals are not of the cutesy Bambi variety. The Disney version of Robin Hood comes much closer. Your main character is even a fox, but this game really has its origins in anthropomorphic comic
What?
books, which are definitely for a more mature audience than, say, the Care Bears movie. So anyway, you
Talking
play
about
Rip, who
furries,
is
oh my
innocently
God.
competing in a puzzle tournament when the word comes down that the whole fair is being
Okay, I need
canceled
to play
because the
this.
Orb of
This
Storms
is-
has been stolen. And Riff is accused
Yeah,
of
the
crime
Care
for
Bears are
no
not
other reason than his
furries.
foxness.
I'm glad to see you notice that whole racial overtone too. I mean, no one wants to judge Riff as an individual. They just jump to conclusions because he's a fox. Now, how different is that from the real world?
Well, before you get into too political an interpretation, remember that we're not just talking about different races, but whole different species here. Riff is given one chance to escape execution for this crime.
Execution, for crying out loud. Not exactly due process, is it? The programmers are making a pretty heavy point about the justice system here.
Are you going off again? These are animals. Well, it's amazing they don't just rip his throat out on the spot. Anyway, Riff has to find the real thief and then return the orb.
Since Riff is under suspicion by the man.
Hey, look, there's not a man to be seen in this whole game.
I'm with
Okay,
this guy. I
since
love
Riff
him
is
just
under
interpreting
suspicion
all
by
the politics.
authorities, he is saddled with 2 quest companions, an elk and a boar.
And they travel around looking for clues to the robbery. So the party travels all over this wide area, trying to find the villain, and at the same time that they learn about the orb, they also find out a lot about the mythical beings from the distant past called humans, who gave the animals, or morphs as they call themselves, the gift of consciousness.
And you say there's no politics in this game?
Well, yeah, that's politics, but it doesn't really reflect our modern world, does it? How many scientists do you know are really trying to hold conversations with their lab mice? For the most part,
I
the
don't know.
social
There's
structure
been a
the
lot of
animals grew out
science
their
about trying to
natural
communicate with
tendencies.
animals.
The elks
That's
live
like
in a huge forest. The
kinda
ferrets are
famous for
constantly
that,
busy,
humans.
And the boar king loves to wallow in the mud.
Yeah, but you can see the man's influence there, too.
What are you babbling about now?
Didn't you notice? The rats said they were the first animals to be morphed by man, and their living environment looked like a huge maze. Get it?
Yeah, you have a point, for once. I was amazed at the quality of the direction and voice acting. The same story could
Voice
have been made into
acting?
a very good animated film, and not much would have had to be changed.
Yeah, the voices were great. Too bad they were only in the opening segment, though. It just made me hungry for the CD-ROM version. The manual is laid out very nicely, especially those gorgeous pen and ink
it's got
illustrations
a
of the
damn
morph characters.
As
webcomic.
I said, the
Holy
concept didn't
shit.
come from cheesy children's movies so much as from comic books. In fact, the word morph is probably a shortening of anthropomorphic.
Stop showing off your book learning, Brainiac.
While this game isn't just
Me
for
when
kids,
someone says
they would at least be
anthropomorphic,
able to
you
figure out how to play
brainiac.
pretty easily. The mouse-only interface has a lot of nice, instinctive point and click.
I don't know if I'd even be comfortable letting my kids play it. A lot of the humor seems pretty subtle, and I don't think they'd get it.
So let me get this straight. You're upset that the programmers didn't write down to their audience? Did you ever see an episode of Bullwinkle in your life?
While this is a really good game, it will probably suffer in sales for no
K-word
other reason than
mentioned.
the fact that many people equate a family game with a simple and childish one. That's not even close to the truth here.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of genre breaking in the field too. And if this game were advertised right, it might even attract some people who haven't done much gaming. People who'd like more than just another hackneyed quest adventure.
It might do that, assuming that there was justice in the world.
You can be a real pain, you know that?
I love this guy being like, no way, you got to know the politics of Inherit the Earth.
Easy interface, great graphics, excellent voice acting, and an engaging story all wrapped up in a game that breaks genre boundaries. What's not to like?
Okay, that was pretty good. What are the cons?
There might actually be some people who prefer games with cute animals to remain infantile. These people
Not
might
me.
be a bit offended by some of the suggestive dialogue. But, frankly, it doesn't get any worse than the most recent Disney movies.
Oh, I really, really, really gotta play Inherit the Earth on stream. All right, next up is Jurassic Park
We
Interactive.
ventured to a small island off the coast of Costa Rica and witnessed one of the most.
Oh, I didn't do the
awesome
also
events
tries
ever.
for the last one. Hold on. I gotta know what else they want me to play if I liked Inherit the Earth. Hand of Fate, Sam and Max Hit the Road. That's a good suggestion. That's a very furry game. And Day of the Tentacle. Okay. Not bad. I guess those are good recommendations. Anyway, back to Jurassic Park
Last year, we
Interactive.
ventured to a small island off the coast of Costa Rica and witnessed one of the most awesome events ever: the return of dinosaurs to Earth. Jurassic Park was one of the top movies in 1993, and now the company which released it, Universal Studios, has created a so-called interactive version of the movie entitled Jurassic Park Interactive for 3DO. The dinosaurs have escaped from their cages and are running around the island. Nedry, a disgruntled computer programmer, has locked you out of the security system so you can't call for help. The first step is to regain control of the security system and then rescue all the survivors from the dinos. All this can be accomplished with a few simple arcade games. The arcade games are recreations of old Atari titles, such as Asteroids and Space Invaders, and 3 other mini-games. The other 3 are a driving chase between you and the T-Rex, a chase against the Raptors, and the pictured segment, fighting the Spitter dinos with a ray gun. These minigames make up the entire product, which is really a bunch
Yay.
of poor arcade sequences thrown onto a CD. I can only wonder what Michael Crichton, the gifted author of Jurassic Park, thinks of this mess. The games are unoriginal and quickly become
Won't somebody
boring. Too
please
bad that
think
this
of
product didn't
Michael
concentrate more on the
Crichton?
characters. For a park that was 65 million years in the making, Jurassic Park Interactive for 3DO seems more like it was 65 minutes in the making.
Okay, not fans. That's fair. What are the pros?
The introduction includes some great letterboxed full-motion video, something 3DO owners should be accustomed to by now. The Spitter arcade sequence has some nice scrolling, and it was the one game I enjoyed.
Nice
Perhaps
scrolling.
The best part of the game is the music. a combination of John Williams' brilliant movie score and original music created for the game. Oh, and did I mention the great credits where the game designers morph into dinosaurs? That was well done. Too bad I can't say the same thing about the actual game.
Wow, negativity in the pros section.
This product seems like a number of classic arcade games have been updated with dinosaur-like graphics and thrown together on a CD. I wish the developers would have been more original in their execution of this title. And let's not overlook the fact that we learn next to nothing about these characters.
Why couldn't I learn more about Nedry in this 3DO game? What else should I try? Jurassic Park PC. I think you should try Jurassic Park for the Sega CD. I think that was the best one personally. Also, I don't know, try Doom. You like Jurassic Park, try Doom. Just do it. Just do it. All right, let's go back to reviews. M4 Sherman tank. What do you think this is?
There haven't been many tank simulations rumbling across store shelves of late. Fortunately, Deadly Games has broken this drought by releasing M4 Sherman tank for Windows.
Yay.
The concept behind M4 is a good one. You, the commander of a single Sherman tank in the Ardennes, are to drive as far east towards Germany as possible, lambasting anything that happens to stumble in your path along the way.
I agree. The actual setup of M4 is nice, but my M4 didn't lambaste much of anything but turkeys.
After you've named your crew members and played with your radio a bit, you start off on your long journey. If you haven't already noticed the wonderful graphics, no, there's nothing wrong with your monitor.
Yeah, this
Now's
is
the time.
pre.
This is what you'll be looking at for at least 90%
was
of the
it
time.
World of
And
Tanks?
no, that
Is that
little
the one
slit
where
at the
they're
top of
always
the screen doesn't get any bigger.
dropping
The graphics
government
in the
secrets?
game are absolutely horrendous. A 16-color game in this day and age is pretty useless.
This is your compass. These two buttons
War
control
Thunder.
your turret.
Okay, sorry.
These are your
I always
command
forget
buttons.
which game
This
they're
wheel
releasing
controls
military
your
secrets
barrel
in.
altitude.
It's not
These
any
two
of. It's
babies
not
fire your
interactive
machine gun
entertainment,
and main
and it's
gun.
not.
Even though the
Dotto
graphics
on
are nasty,
data,
the
they're-
interface
they're,
was
you
reasonably
know,
good. I like the idea
they're
of
normal.
clicking hotspots on the screen to execute commands instead of having to memorize 3,000 key combinations.
One nice option is the ability to open your hatch and check out the surroundings. The view is a bit larger, and it's easier to make out your target.
It may
Well,
be a
I'll
nice
tell you
option
one
to
thing,
pop
I
out of
will
your hatch
never
every
leak
once in a while,
government
but it takes
secrets,
a
'cause I
decade to
don't
look
know
from
a
side to
single
side.
thing.
You'd think being shot at by a few panzers would encourage your tank commander to move a little
You're like,
more quickly.
Alex, what's
The
this
actual
tank
fighting
like? How
isn't
does it
bad.
work? I'd be
Every
like,
time you shoot
"Ah."
at an enemy
I have
and
no
miss,
clue.
your gunner will call out corrections. For example, a little bit to the right, a little too far, and so on. This makes it seem much more realistic.
Firing the main gun is pretty cool and somewhat realistic, but the machine gun is totally worthless, and not being able to fire on the move is retarded. I mean, why not just play a game of howitzer instead?
After
Sorry,
each day on the
folks,
front,
wasn't
you're given a
expecting
report
that
card
from
on how you've
fucking
done and
interactive
an update on any
entertainment.
characters that might have been
Sorry.
injured. If you're lucky,
Yeah,
you'll even get a medal or two.
Overall,
They've been so
M4 did
good.
absolutely nothing for me. The whole
Yeah,
game
it's the
was just
fucking
a
90s
waste of
for
my
you,
time.
Christ.
The graphics were poor, and the gameplay just wasn't good enough to keep me interested.
I'd have to say that
Yeah,
even though
kill
the
him.
graphics were awful, M4 wasn't all that bad. Nailing panzers off in the
Jesus
distance was
Christ, the
pretty fun, and the
90s.
overall game gave me a sense of being there in the Ardennes. Unfortunately, I probably wouldn't buy M4, and if I were just a normal person, I'd have to say, skip this one.
All right. Well, that certainly took the wind out of my sails, but let's see what else they have to say.
The only
Hopefully
good thing
they'll be
about this
normal.
game is the digitized voices that tell you where to shoot.
Okay, they like the digitized voices.
The graphics are about as bad as a Windows game can get. The gameplay is unrealistic, and the view screen is much too small.
And what else should we try? M1 Abrams, you don't say. And Battlezone. All right, what's next up? Please be normal, folks. I mean, not you folks. You folks are fine. The folks in interactive entertainment are like, they're making me be like this. Anyways, Mortal Kombat CD.
Not surprisingly, Mortal Kombat for Sega CD isn't much different from Mortal Kombat for the Genesis. New techno-rave music has been added, and that's the only thing that affects gameplay at all, aside from longer loading times between fights. The much-hyped 2.5-minute intro is nothing more than grainy clips of gameplay with footage from the Mortal Monday ad campaign we were all subjected to last summer. Excellent? Hardly. Although there have been claims that the graphics have been improved, I sure couldn't find any proof of it. All the fatalities are present, but they aren't any bloodier than before. Because you can't turn the blood off, this CD carries a rating of MA17.
Cool.
Okay, let me get this straight. If a kid gets blood just by turning the game on, he has to be 17 to play. But if he's smart enough to ask any other Genesis owner in the world what the blood code is, he only has to be 13 to walk away untraumatized. The logic throttles the imagination. If you
Sure
need better music
does.
to play Mortal Kombat by, turn on your stereo. If you don't already have the cartridge version, get the CD. If you already have the cart, skip this altogether. Only the music is different, and it isn't even good. It's far too loud and gets in the way of the sound effects. If you really need a new slant on your favorite kick, punch, kill game, Hold on to your money and wait for the home release of MK2.
What
Not surprisingly.
are
It's
the
Mortal
pros?
Kombat. You jump, you punch, you kick, you kill. It's fun.
You punch, you jump, you kick, you kill. It's fun.
The intro video is just grainy game footage and scenes from the old Mortal Kombat TV ad from last August. The new Techno Rave soundtrack is bad. It's wimpy, plasticized, and motivates you to kill no one but the composer. It's also far too loud and tends to drown out the sound effects during combat. Unless you're buying MK for a home system for the first time, this disc is a complete ripoff.
Okay, Techno Rave soundtrack is hated. I disagree. I think the Techno Rave soundtrack is good. We could also go with Rise of the Robots, Street Fighter 2, or Body Blows. Okay, who knows Body Blows? Because I certainly don't. All right, what's Oceans Below?
Had you ever thought about scuba diving off the coast of some faraway island paradise, but your budget's just too tight? Oceans Below from Software Toolworks gives you the chance to sample the finest diving in the world without leaving home. It offers a colorful introduction to the world of scuba diving and undersea beauty. Oceans Below sports a simple, easy-to-learn interface. You'll be jet-setting
I
around
like
the globe
this.
in no time at all. The world map
wanna
is your
play this.
springboard to everywhere you want to go. Altogether, there are 17 different dives from the Bahamas to the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific. To begin your world of tour diving locations, pick one of the 7 major diving regions highlighted with the bubbles on the map. After choosing the part of the world you want to sample, a regional map allows you to focus in on
Truck
specific dive
Lagoon?
areas.
Cool.
Now you're ready to pick your first dive. The announcers are helpful and informative and welcome you, but often sound like stiff advertisements.
They could loosen up a little.
Choosing the binocular icon
Okay.
here launches a short video introduction to the location you've chosen. The videos are superficially informative. You find out a little about the history of the place and the people who live there. The lack of a musical soundtrack makes these travel brochure segments somewhat dry.
Islands had no exploitable natural resources other than beaches and sea, and so were never developed as a colony. Instead, it became a pirates' and smugglers' haven throughout much of the 18th and 19th centuries.
Now you know a little bit about where you are. You're ready to get your feet wet and see what's down there. By selecting the mask icon, you initiate your dive. Each dive sequence begins with a still shot of divers and some information about water temperature and the depth of the dive. Unfortunately, the same shot is used in 3 of the 17 locations. With all
who
the
are
beautiful
they?
vistas available,
Is that
it's hard
us?
to understand why these shots are repeated. It's time to take the plunge. Select the thumb down icon. Every time you begin your descent, there's a 2-second video of divers jumping in the water. This
Yay.
appears to be an attempt at authenticity, but it's repetitive and eats up video time that would be better spent underwater. As you descend and rise to the surface, there are helpful diving
This
hints.
looks so
Some of
sick.
these hints are useful, like not taking a plane for at least 12 hours after
Sorry, this
diving,
looks like
but
something
others are
I would
complex
have
and
loved as a
incomprehensible to
child.
non-divers or those just starting out. When you reach an underwater destination, guide the pointer around the photo of undersea life. If a mask appears, select the object. A brief video describing what you've selected will run. Software Toolworks describes Oceans Below as a fully interactive diving experience that allows you to explore the undersea world. However, once below the water, you have only a few options and you really can't go anywhere. What you can do is see a few videos of extremely beautiful fish and coral. The videos are fun and well done, but too brief and too few. There are 1 or 2 on each dive, and often, as in the case of the dive in Belize, the introductory clip about Belize
Hey,
is twice
Jack,
as long
welcome.
as the sole
We,
diving segment.
we're
More
diving.
stills of underwater scenes and videos at each dive location would give
Cool
the
fish.
viewer a more thorough sense of the area and a better feel for the underwater flora and fauna of the region. To find out about all the diving equipment you'll need on your
I like how Mortal
international diving
Kombat CD
expedition,
had
select
3
the icon
pages
flag.
and this has
Here
13.
you'll get some concise,
I definitely think
easy to
this needs more
understand
pages,
information on
honestly.
everything from air tanks to masks. For complete diving neophytes, diagrams of a diver wearing the gear would really help at this point to help understand how it all goes together. By selecting the magnifying glass at the world map, an index
The
appears with everything you
blacksmith
can see
fish?
in Oceans Below. The index is
the
comprehensive,
hell?
but it's not possible to go anywhere from
There's a
it. The
blacksmith
virtual
fish?
diver can only access
What
each
does it
site
do?
via the map. Being able to jump
Other
directly to
than
your point of interest from the index would be
blacksmith.
helpful. Oceans Below is attractive and easy to use with a clear, intuitive interface. It's basically a coffee table book on disc.
Yay,
It offers
I like
the
that
complete
stuff.
newcomer a quick, simple introduction to the world of scuba diving. If you're taking up scuba diving and need comprehensive information or instruction, you won't find it here. You also won't find a whole lot of information about undersea life. What you do get is some pretty pictures, interesting video, and an inkling of what's waiting for you when you take the plunge.
Okay, so kind of sounds cool. Oh, they don't have pros and cons, but what else should we try? They're like, I don't know, look at an encyclopedia. This is pre-Aquanauts holiday. So I guess we could try Groliers in Compton's. By the way, I'm pretty sure we went through both of these in my Quest for Homosexuality stream, and they both do mention homosexuality, so yeah. I'm doing another one of those next month, by the way, so we're going to go back to the encyclopedia world. All right, let's go back to reviews. PGA Tour 3.
If you enjoy playing PGA Tour 1 or 2 on the Genesis, PGA European Tour should appeal to you as well. It offers the same great play with several new courses to play on.
I agree. PGA European Tour fits
Also,
right in nicely
be right
with
back,
its older
folks.
counterparts. You not only get new courses to attack, but you also get several new game features to enjoy. While the new courses were fun, the addition of 8-player free-for-all match play and 4-player sudden death shootout improved the game's fun content considerably. Plus, you still get the automatic instant replay, so your friends get to see that amazing shot one more time.
Despite the new additions to PGA European Tour, it's still the same golf game. I expected to see some revisions in the gameplay, but none were to be found.
Wait a minute. Sure, the gameplay is still the same, but now you get 10 new PGA professional opponents to play against, including the ever-dangerous Jose Maria Olazabal. Besides, the newest PGA Tour supports the Electronic Arts 4-way play system.
True, but what's the advantage in that? Even the original PGA Tour allowed for 4 human players using a shared controller.
Well, with European Tour, each player gets their own controller.
I bet they fight over the remote at your house, too.
EA Sports has integrated several new features into the game over the years. In my experience, many people find the PGA Tour series
Oh,
of
they're
games
getting mad at each
entertaining,
other? Good.
including
Sorry,
those
I missed
do not
that.
play golf.
I'll have to give you that one. EA has done a splendid job of keeping on top of the game over the years. But that's really no surprise, given their reputation for excellent sports games. 2 really helpful features that are still in the tour are the driving ranges and practice putting greens. If you're new to the game, this is a great place
So
to
the
start.
blacksmith
Great for
fish
beginners
is
as well as
ordinary?
pros. The
That's-
driving range and putting green can make a big improvement in your game.
You
in
can't name
hurry.
a fish
All
the
3 games in the
blacksmith
series
fish
offer a 3D putting
and
grid to help you on
have
those
it be
long
normal,
distance
like,
putts.
you know?
3D grid aids any golfer in short and long putts alike. It does have one drawback, and that it slows
What?
the game down.
Oh,
It actually
okay.
takes a second or two to access, which didn't bother me, but I suspect many people will find it a nuisance.
Ooh, a whole second. Obviously, you're underestimating the number of Sega CD owners in the audience.
The skins game is a lot of fun, especially when you're able to beat the tour pro and win
Oh,
the
as a Sega
That's
CD
if
owner,
you're
that
able to
was
beat the Tour
that was
Pro,
very
you mean.
brutal.
These guys are no pushovers.
True, but it's still fun. And if you don't have the patience to compete in a full game, the skins game might be more to your liking. The weather conditions can sure put a twist into the game.
The
I can't
skins
tell you how many of my
game.
perfect shots have been completely wrecked by a sudden gust of wind.
Yeah, the wind is pretty annoying. I wouldn't have minded it so much if it were realistic, but it seemed like the wind was always blowing toward a water hazard, sand trap, or a clump of trees.
Are you sure it wasn't just your imagination? The PGA Tour series has historically been addictive and fun to play. The newest release, PGA European Tour, falls into those classifications nicely.
I agree. Each game in the series is well crafted and very entertaining. My biggest complaint with European Tour is that the graphics were not improved, so it doesn't look any better than its predecessors. Still, it is fun. I enjoyed playing it, and I'm really looking forward to the next one.
All right. What are the pros?
Like all the games in the PGA Tour series, European Tour is fun to play solo or with a group. There are many courses and options to choose from, and it offers many realistic aspects, including the ability to play against 10 real pro golfers from around the world.
And the cons.
There's been no real improvement graphically in European Tour, the third release in the series. The 3D putting grid is a bit slow, and weird wind effects result in a lack of consistency in ball flight.
And what else should we try? Shark Attack? Chat, 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 chat. Shark Attack? Whatever. I'm not the good folks at Interactive Entertainment. I don't know anything here. What a reunion.
A European import from
Oh
Grand
my
Slam,
God,
Reunion
look
is a
at
game of
him.
Space colonization and management. I love this type of game, so it should have been an easy sell. It wasn't. Much of the game is very good. Too bad certain key elements of the game were left completely in the dark.
Yeah, dark seems to be the key word here. The atmosphere is so thick you can cut it with a laser cannon. Menace and futility hang in the air even before you have a clue to what's going on.
The game features a long introduction
What
comprised
go- I like
mostly
the
of
art.
these boring black and white still pictures. A guy with a
Boring.
German
Boring. It
sounding
looks
accent
cool.
and cheesy delay effect narrates, which just proves that some people just weren't cut out for multimedia work.
I can't believe you didn't like that part. I was really getting into the intense music, not to mention the unexplained purple guy with the credits coming out of the bridge of his nose. And the pretentious Euro voice was even better. I kept expecting him to say, "I'll be back." Or possibly, "Now is the time on Sprockets when we dance."
Yeah, right. Will you please
Shark
calm
Attack
down
is a
minute?
golf sim?
Anyway,
Okay.
the story goes like this. Earth unified
I would have
under a
not
world
named it
government,
Shark
but
Attack.
hostile rebels took control. A ship designed to find habitable worlds escaped and formed New Earth. You are the president of the New Earth colony, and it is now your task to reestablish communications with the planet your ancestors fled 300 years ago.
These reunions are always so depressing, don't you think? Everybody always has done better than you, and you're much balder than you thought you were.
Well, I'm certainly glad you got that joke
Ah,
out of me.
okay.
Can
It
we
was by a
continue?
guy nicknamed the
Before
Shark.
trucking
Okay,
back to
okay, that
Earth,
makes a
you
little bit
better
more
expand
sense.
and explore within your own solar system. This is a great phase of the game and will please anyone who looks at a blank section of map and wonders what's out there.
And will completely frustrate
They
anyone like
they
me
sold
who
the
thinks that
disc
the president has more
they sold the
important things to
discs
do
as
than
like
planet
a
mapping,
subscription.
and
I
its
think it was
so-called
like
advisors should be earning
40
their pay.
a year.
To explore, you
and
must send
came
a
out
satellite
monthly.
to each planet. If the planet has moons, satellites must be sent to each of them too. The satellites will tell you which planets and moons are suitable for mining and colonization. Although you may establish many colonies, New Earth is always your base of operations. It's here that you will consult your advisors, much like Dynamics Alien Legacy. Unlike that game, though, your advisors rarely have anything useful to say. Sometimes they even ask for more money. But since I can't find any way to increase their budget, they're out of luck.
But you could hardly ask for more dedicated help. I mean, those advisors are always right there at the conference table, standing information. No question of coffee breaks or long lunch. I respect that.
In keeping with this exploding genre, you'll have to do your fair share of colonial management. I found this to be one of the weaker points of the game, mostly because there don't seem to be many decisions for you to make. If your citizens are demanding something, you provide it. You use New Earth Colony as an example and just add stuff as it is needed. There's nothing bad about that, but it sure doesn't give you the feeling of manipulating a dynamic system, like in SimCity 2000. Throughout this game, I came across things that didn't seem to work. One such facet is the observatory you can build on your colonies to give you advanced warning of alien aggression. In
I
the
wish
New
there
Earth
were more
bar, I heard that
titties
an
out
alien race were
robots,
massing
but
their
what can you
forces to
do?
close me. Funny how my extensive early warning system didn't quite pick up on that.
Never underestimate the power of gossip, man. Save the observatory cash and spend more time in the bar.
Want another example of things not working? Okay, how about your technology level? Early in the game, your development advisor can't stop coming up with new ideas, but then the well abruptly runs dry. Nothing I could do could put my R&D team back on track, including sending my advisor to the university.
Why not just hire somebody else?
I tried that. Even hiring
I like
a
that you
better
can send people
advisor
to
had no deal.
university.
There's nothing worse than knowing by common sense where an alien base is, but not being able to send up a spy satellite because it hasn't been invented.
Yep, sounds like the entry requirements on the space program ain't what they used to be.
Remember I said that I couldn't seem to create any military defense units? Well, man, oh man, did that catch up to me. Those aliens I knew
Hey,
were
that guy
looking
got blown
finally
away.
invaded, attacking
That's-
me right at the core of my being.
Ow.
You don't mean.
No, not there. My New Earth colony.
Well, I'm glad you said it and not me.
And since I had no
I don't even know
defenses
what they were
whatsoever,
insinuating by
you
that.
Can guess how the battle went.
Okay.
Reunion would be a great game, if it worked. I'm
Cool.
still not sure why several key aspects of the game don't seem to function. I'd blame the manual for leaving parts of the game out, which it does on a few minor points, but I tried tinkering with every icon, field, and screen in the game and couldn't find anything to give me results. It's as if this is a pre-release version with several parts of the game yet to be implemented, but that's not so. Whatever the cause, Reunion sets you up for a great time, then pulls the rug out from under your feet. In other words, this game is a great big
On the bright side, for days after you play Reunion, you will talk to everyone you know in a pretentious German accent.
oh, I'm gonna have to kill you now.
Okay, I think he sawed his friend in half,
you're-
which I don't recommend doing.
The game's graphics, while not stunning, are sharp and pleasant looking, especially for a strategy game. The exploration system of sending satellites to neighboring planets is very well done, and is lots of fun for us exploration junkies. Too many parts of this game just don't seem to work. Your technological advancement halts early in the game, keeping necessary equipment beyond your grasp. You are strangely unable to create military units for defense, which leaves you with no chance of surviving an alien attack.
All right, what else should we play? Master of Orion, Outpost, and Alien Legacy. Okay. The game is Hungarian. Okay, that's... And yet they were talking... I have a feeling that perhaps the reviewers at Interactive Entertainment are not up on their European geography, but what do I know? All right, next up, Shanghai 2.
Struggling in your search for eternal bliss and happiness?
Yes,
Maybe you need
God,
to spend
yes.
some time with Shanghai 2, Dragon's Eye.
Okay.
A peaceful, soothing game, which reinforces the fact that entertaining puzzle games are more addictive than nicotine. There's certainly nothing
That's not
complicated about
true.
this game, versions of which have been available on virtually every gaming platform. The object of this variation of the ancient Chinese game Mahjong is to clear all the tiles in a puzzle one pair at a time. Each tile in a pair must match, and each tile must be free to move from side to side without another tile on top of it.
Okay.
You can choose from 13 different puzzle layouts with
I
3
like
levels of
the
difficulty
flag
and 8
layout.
separate tile sets. You can play by yourself or against another player, and there's a tournament format which allows you to play a series of games. The designers even included a cheat key. If you're stumped, you can hit F1 and it'll highlight a matched pair. Of course, I never actually had to use this myself, but a really slow friend told me about it. Shanghai 2 has good-looking graphics, enough different options to keep you from getting easily bored, and it's extremely simple to learn. When you finish a puzzle, it even gives you a Chinese fortune cookie message. This game may not be the key to discovering eternal happiness, but it will definitely cheer you up for hours at a time.
Okay, sounds good. What are the pros?
The best part of this game is the game itself. Clearing a puzzle by finding pairs of matched tiles might sound too stupid for words, but it will keep you in front of your computer for hours.
Too stupid for words.
After a while, the music makes you feel as though you've been trapped in an elevator that's playing Chinese music. Fortunately, if you get really sick of it, you can simply turn it off.
Shannon, you might say you've been shanghaied. See, we can also play Origamo and the Tetris series. All right, next up, SimCity CD.
It had to happen sooner or later. SimCity is the newest old game revamped for CD-ROM release by Interplay. The game itself hasn't changed a bit, so don't expect any new things to build. What the new format does add is better sound effects and a ton of video to make playing an old favorite even more fun.
I like
the CD
video.
version of this classic game makes
That's
extensive
good.
use of digitized speech. You can't click on an icon without someone giving you some information or advice. Full motion video is also abundant, although the quality is sometimes suspect. A roving reporter now informs you of important city happenings. The city graphs are even spiced up.
That's
These
good.
predicaments
I
should
need
provide
this.
all the incentive you need
I need
to get
this
you building more
game.
police stations. Once in a while, you'll even get a
Wow.
chance to peek in at your Sims as they go about their lives.
FMVs are
You won't uncover
short
any
and
important
corny. I
happenings
gotta
this way,
play
but
this.
It's entertaining. I'm not sure why anyone would opt for this package over the more intricate SimCity 2000, but if you still get the urge to go back to the basic SimCity model, this is definitely the coolest way to do it. It's SimCity, so of course it's good, although the main view has scarcely changed. It does feature a nice new Windows-style interface. Most of the acting is excellent, both in the video segments and the
Most?
audio snippets you get when you click on an icon. The peek feature is especially entertaining.
And the cons.
There's nothing new added to the game. It's got some added audio-visual pizzazz, but it's the same game you've been playing for years. Some of the video segments are of poor quality. I was surprised and disappointed to see that this release does not include the terrain editor or the 2 additional graphic sets.
And what else should we try? The Sim series, that's fair. Detroit, okay. And Ultimate Domain, which I've never heard of, but I have heard of Detroit. All right, next up, System Shock. This one's popular.
The following presentation has been edited for broadcast. Specifically, in accordance with BBC Broadcasting Regulation number Z00FMQ12, the 551 appearances of the word doom have been stricken from the program. The writers responsible for this travesty have been shot. We now return you to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
System Shock completely reinforces Origin's status as an industry leader. This cyberpunk arcade adventure sets new standards for first-person games. Nothing we've seen before even comes close. It's got mood, exploration, puzzle solving, and nerve-damaging action. You can actually see your pulse skyrocket.
Don't mince words now. Tell us what you really think.
Okay. Did I mention the awesome context-sensitive soundtrack? How about the ability to look up, down, and around corners? And that you can climb, and...
Okay. Geez, I'm sorry I asked. The frame rate Looking Glass has achieved is amazing. While it's not as fast as as that well-known first-person shooter, it's faster than anything else in the same vein, even though there's a lot more going on with the gameplay.
Stop implying that this is a shooter, because it's not. Yes, you do shoot things, but exploration is actually the main point. You're right about the speed, though. I was floored. This game makes me want to run right out and buy a Pentium.
The essence of the story is this. You're a hacker. You hacked in somewhere you oughtn't have, thereby attracting the attention of Tri-Optimum Corporation. You thought they would do you in, but instead they offered you a job. Hack into Shodan, an artificial intelligence which runs a space station called the Citadel. Given that you're a hacker par excellence, naturally
You know, I've never
succeed.
played this game.
Tri-Op rewards you for your expert service by implanting you with a neurojack that will allow you to enter cyberspace, making you an even better hacker than before.
I know it's a classic,
After 6
but
months in a healing coma, you awaken on Citadel Station to discover that you are the only living thing there that hasn't been mutated, cyborged, or killed outright. Everything else that's still alive and ambulatory works for Shodan, and their job is to make sure that you don't interfere with the insane AI's plan to exterminate humankind.
Worse wake-up call? And you thought Mondays were a pain.
Speaking of cyberspace,
you're
how did
gonna
you like it?
die.
I
And you
liked
thought
it a lot.
Mondays were
It's definitely
bad.
better than previous attempts.
Like in Neuromancer and Bloodnet?
Exactly. You can jack into the system and open doors, download security upgrades, all kinds of things. Still, it wasn't as realistic as it could have been. I'd have liked it better if it felt more like hacking than playing an arcade game.
Cyberspace is the only thing I don't love about this game. The problem is, cyberspace is very disorienting and hard to get around in. The walls are just wire frames, making it hard to get an overview of your area. The free-floating perspective didn't help matters any. These segments are an unfortunate part of the game, but putting up with them lets me get on with the rest. So be it.
Okay, but you should probably mention that you can de-emphasize the importance of cyberspace when you set up the game. For that matter, you can customize the
you
game
can
exactly
change
to
your cyber
preference
level.
by setting difficulty
I'm
levels in
currently at
combat,
cyber level 1,
cyberspace,
honestly.
puzzles, and missions.
Back in the real world, some hefty neutral implants give you the ability to incorporate hardware and software items into your consciousness. These include map chips, targeting software, and the rear view glasses shown here.
I really like the way you can pick up software that gives you special abilities. Auto mapping, surround views, full screen mode, and so on. It's about the first C-Punk game I've seen that accurately reflected this aspect of the genre.
If you thought the levels in that other game were twisted, you ain't seen nothing yet. If you put MC Escher, Sid Mead, and H.R. Geiger in a room together and said, make a space station, they'd probably turn out something like this. The heck with combat, let's find a tour guide.
Nah, this wouldn't be nearly as much fun with a guide. Can you picture it? To your left, you will notice a Hopper security droid in its natural habitat. Oh look, it's about to blow fist-sized holes in your torso with an autocannon.
Of course, no first-person Save the World from Technology Gone Haywire game would be complete without nasty creatures with a taste for your spleen. The variety of monsters in this game is equaled only by your means of doing them in. Sometimes danger hides
You know,
in the
why my
shadows and
spleen?
takes
Why not my
potshots at
liver?
you from down the hall. And sometimes it's right in your face.
Most of the monsters, the robots in particular, have obviously been rendered in 3D Studio. So much for our theory that nothing good can come out of that particular package.
Yep, Looking Glass clearly doesn't subscribe to the all-glitz, no-gameplay formula. The interface is about the easiest imaginable control system for a 3D game. Although the mouse can do everything, the method of choice is to use the keyboard to move and look up and down with your left hand. With your right, you use the mouse to manipulate items, change your MFDs, and blast the enemy into oblivion.
Oh, like
Clicking on the
Fortnite.
panels of this box lets you crouch or crawl with an appropriate shift in viewpoint.
The controls are pretty good, but I don't know about the easiest imaginable. If the Cyberman worked the way it was supposed to...
Oh, would you quit whining about the Cyberman? I'm sick of hearing about how it only has one bit of resolution, it isn't properly ergonomic, blah, blah, blah.
Stop complaining
System
about the
Shock may well be the most
Cyberman.
visually versatile game yet, allowing you several views of the action. You start off with your normal view. You can also lean your body left and right to peek around corners. Picking up an add-on gives you a rear view. Another lets you go to full screen mode, complete with your regular MFDs and icons. If you really want to freak out,
Ow.
suck down some of the craze hallucinogens scattered about.
No,
As you
don't
explore
do
the
that.
station, you'll encounter lots and lots of bodies. Don't be squeamish, search them. Where there's dead people, there's usually at least one log entry you can read. These journals, written by the former inhabitants, describe the events you missed while in your healing coma. They also contain valuable clues, so if you want to stay alive, not to mention having a shot at stopping Shodan, pay attention to the voices of the dead.
One cyber headache aside, System Shock is one of the best games I've ever played.
I agree. This is the archetypical action game taken to a new extreme of fun and addictiveness. I would probably finish this game in one weekend of non-stop playing, given the opportunity.
Looking Glass has taken their experience with the Ultima Underworld games and created a masterpiece of computer entertainment. I hate to use a meaningless term like virtual reality game, but it's the easiest way to describe it. With
Okay.
a strong plot, whacked out architecture, exploration, suspense, and danger and extreme, System Shock is one of those rare games people will be singing the praises of 10 years from now.
Longer than 10 years, I can tell you that for sure. People love that game.
The
All right, what are the
The
pros?
3D engine is awesome, both in terms of speed and attractiveness.
Uh-huh.
The music sounds nothing
Very
at all like a Wing
attractive.
Commander game. The game has a good balance of action and brain-intensive exploration. This is a huge game, definitely giving buyers their money's worth.
Brain intensive, huh?
Unless you have a 486 DX2 or a Pentium, forget it. System Shock is also huge, and unless you run it from CD, you'll need to clear some major space on your hard drive. The cyberspace segments are also confusing and difficult to control.
All right, what else should I try? Doom! The Ultima Underworld series and Shadowcaster. Okay, I can give those a try. All right, next up is Subterranea.
The back of the box reads, "Can you handle the pressure?" Well, if you can maneuver your way through the many levels of Subterranea from Sega, you can handle the pressure. From the first minute you start playing until you are completely exhausted and must shut the system off, this game will impress you. Think of Subterranea as a shooter with a lot more to offer. What makes Subterranea different is gravity. You know, that physics stuff that keeps all of us stuck to the face of this planet? Gravity adds a new dimension to the traditional side-scrolling shooter. It's really a lot of fun to play because gravity is constantly pulling down, so you must fight against its pull to navigate the game's
That's
many
gravity
caverns.
for you.
The graphics are spectacular. The cutscenes are better than any other cart I've seen for the Genesis. The gameplay looks awesome too, and Sega even did a good job creating beautiful scenes of your ship getting blown to pieces. As there is no continue available, however, you will find yourself seeing the lowest levels enough to be thoroughly sickened by them. Subterranea has a lot to offer. You can collect several different weapons to use as well as fuel to keep going. Some missions also require you to lift and carry certain objects to complete them. This
Never
is one
played
of the most
this, I don't
satisfying
think.
shooters available. If you're looking to spend a few days worth of quality time with your Genesis, Subterranea is the game you're looking for.
Any Subterranea freaks out there?
The implementation of gravity makes what might have been a ho-hum shooter very interesting. There are plenty of different weapons to use. Gameplay involves missions in which you must rescue miners pinned down by hostile forces.
You have a copy? It's impossible, Danny? Okay, that's it seems impossible.
There's no continue feature, and the overview of each level is only available before the stage begins.
That's no good. But what else should we try? Robo-Alest! Chat! Robo-Alest shows up, and Blaster Master. Look at this. Beautiful. Crescent Galaxy, I want to say that, I don't know what Crescent Galaxy is, but when I hear Crescent Galaxy, I immediately think of Trevor McFur, which I'm pretty sure they're not referencing. It's too early for that, I assume. Or maybe it's not, I don't know. All right, next up is Theme Park, a game I love.
Most people get sick on the rides at an amusement park.
Wrong.
I started feeling ill building and running the things while playing Theme Park, a business simulation that gives you the chance to take charge of your own carnival.
Well, this new game from Bullfrog certainly moves at a dizzying pace. Not everyone enjoys the tilt-a-whirl, but I was kind of exhilarated by the whole thing. I'm probably getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, and running out of cute metaphors. As far as management games go, this is actually a pretty good idea. All of the staples of running a business are there. Capital construction, hiring, firing, and negotiating with employees, buying supplies, research, banking, and competing with other parks. I just think this would have been much easier to follow with a better graphics package.
Maybe, but I thought the graphics style really added a lot to the amusement park feel of the game. The amount of control
need better
have over park
graphics?
elements
What's your
ranges from
problem?
sandbox, which roughly translates into, ooh, look at the pretty pictures, to the boggling full simulation where you are personally responsible for such minor details as how much caffeine goes in the cola.
Your customers scurry hither and yon around the park with bubbles straight out of the Sunday comics floating above their heads. The bubbles contain some pretty important information concerning the public's attitude towards your business. Unfortunately, until you've played the game about 100 times and memorized what the bubbles mean, you have to
Okay, so
change
Trevor
menus
McFur
and
was
see what
out.
adjustments
So,
you need to
okay,
make to
I
satisfy your
see.
customers.
I don't know
Yes,
the date
you
of
need
that.
to learn the symbols over
That's
time.
amazing.
But even when you have no idea what's going on, the game keeps you entertained until you understand. It's also true that the actual game graphics cannot compete with the dazzling opening animation. But I liked the cartoony visuals,
Thank you,
and I
Squid
found
Zero,
myself
for
laughing
the
a
follow.
lot at the
Appreciate
sound
it.
effects, which ranged from cash registers to chain reaction puking children.
The lack of easily
Puking
accessible
children.
information is a fairly large flaw for a strategy game, but I don't mean to suggest that the game is entirely worthless. The designers definitely had a sense of humor. For instance, when you hire a maintenance man, the first thing he does is spread out his lunch and take a break. Also, you can't help but laugh when the bouncy castle ride finally breaks down completely and literally sails off into the wild blue yonder.
The amount of detail here kept me coming back for more. If you're unlucky enough to completely empty not only your pockets but wipe out your loan as well, the game ends with a beautifully animated suicide attempt. Don't worry, you didn't really do it. It's even fun when the unions are trying to shaft you. You go into this negotiations screen, and if you can't settle your contract trouble by the time the sprinkled cookies run out, you've got a strike on your hands. There are few things sadder than a man wearing a squid suit walking a picket line.
I still have mixed feelings towards
I never
Theme
died
Park.
in Theme
Its heart
Park.
is in the
I guess
right
I didn't
place,
play
but I'm not
enough.
sure a great sense of humor is enough to overcome a business simulation that doesn't give you important information right when you need it.
That's your problem. You insist on looking at this as a hardcore business simulation, when first and foremost, it's intended to be a fun toy to play with that happens to have a money-making element involved. While Theme Park's interface is occasionally awkward and its symbols slightly obscure, I think what you're harping on is a pretty minor problem. The game is well worth the price of admission.
I need to play Theme Park on stream sometime. I love that game. What are the pros?
There are enough different elements of strategy to keep dwellers of the Sim Cities thoroughly satisfied. Also, this is a very funny game, and a pretty addictive one as well.
That's true. What are
There's
the
so
cons?
much information coming at you at once, it gets very confusing at times, and the cartoony graphics can get pretty obscure.
Don't know what you mean by obscure? I guess you can't... Never mind. Anyways. We should also try the Sim series, Ultimate Domain, and Dino Park Tycoon. Now, Dino Park Tycoon is a game I've tried to get into, but I've never gotten really far in it. I should try that on stream sometime. Would y'all like it if I played, like, Theme Park and Sims on stream? I've been thinking about it, but, like, I don't know if there's, like, an audience for that. All right, next up is Train Engineer.
Model train enthusiasts can now make tracks to the information superhighway with Train Engineer from Abracadabra. This game is a boon for the dedicated hobbyist who has never had enough space for his tracks, since you can design your own layout without worrying whether your
You would
basement
watch
is
me
large
do
enough
that?
to
Okay,
hold
I
it.
guess I could
The
do it
design
sometime.
mode allows you to build your own track, complete with scenery and businesses, or to use a
Hey,
pre-designed
this is
layout.
sick.
If you build your own layout, you'll also have to come up with a cargo schedule as you move goods from depot to depot. The prefab tracks also come with their own schedule. If you already
Can
own
you add
Abracadabra's
cats?
Design Your Own Railroad, you can transfer your favorite layouts to this new game. Once you start riding the rails, you'll see where you're going from the cab of the train. You can run up to 8 trains at a time, which is important since you'll have to meet your entire delivery schedule in 24 hours in order to win the game. This task is complicated by the fact that the businesses you're servicing aren't labeled on the map. With the size of some of these layouts, finding the site of your next delivery is needlessly complicated. Train Engineer's primary market
Hey,
is
Kaboom,
obviously the
welcome. We are
railroad.
going through
The
Interactive
game itself
Entertainment
is a basic planning
03.
exercise as
I'm
you
thinking
try to
about playing
establish a
Theme Park in
timetable,
another
which
stream.
allows you to meet your extremely crowded schedule. If you need
We
a
can go to
break from games
Kmart.
filled with battles, death, and trips to outer
Kmart.
space, this is a pretty peaceful ride.
Okay, let's go to Kmart. Everybody, we're going to Kmart.
Abracadabra definitely knows how to run a railroad. The design mode allows you to come up with virtually any sort of track layout. It's extremely simple to use, and you can spice up your creation by using scenery objects.
All right, and what are the cons?
The businesses that are your customers once you start running your railroad aren't labeled, which forces you to either stop what you're doing and use the zoom feature, or simply chug aimlessly around the tracks until you find what you're looking for. Simple building signs would have easily fixed this flaw.
We should also try Design Your Own Railroad, Railroad Tycoon, and, of course, A-Train. Of course, A-Train. All right, next up is Twisted.
You've answered in the form of a question, guessed the price, and spun the wheel on some of TV's hottest game shows. Now it's time to throw conventional game show logic out the
Twisted!
window and enter the Twisted Zone. From the creative minds at Studio 3DO and Electronic Arts, Twisted is their answer to interactive TV. Host Twink Fizdale calls the action as up to 4 players can compete against each other to see who will be the first to reach the top of the palindrome. After a player rolls the cyber die and moves up the board, you are
I
faced
forgot
with
the
one of 8
cyber
interactive
die.
games. These range from an extensive trivia selection to the pictured Mystery Matinee, where you have to solve an interactive jigsaw puzzle using full motion video.
Yep.
Twisted is a great multiplayer game to play at a party with your friends. It has great production qualities, encompassing full motion video, CD audio sound, and more. If Twisted falls short in one area, it's the fact that you can't play against a computer opponent, so playing by yourself is rather boring. Nevertheless, if you've got the twitch for a game show hit, it's time to get twisted.
Okay, let's get twisted.
If you're looking for a fun game to play with your friends, Twisted is a great idea. Of special note is the great trivia section, which has thousands of questions. The full motion video is excellent. Twisted has some of the best production values, and its variety is second to none.
And the cons.
Twisted's lack of a computer opponent is a real shame.
It
If you don't have a
is.
friend to play with, the game loses the fun factor, because you have to play against yourself. It's regretful something like this totally spoils the game for one-player use. The box should really say 2 to 4 players, not 1 to 4.
And we should also try Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, and Family Feud. The trifecta here. Yeah, I'll do that. The trifecta of 7 p.m. TV. All right, let's look at the reviews. Next is Virtual Racing.
If you stuck your head into a decent arcade any time within the past year, you've probably
I
seen
have.
a coin-op version of Virtual Racing. If so, then the Sega Genesis version may not be all that you had expected. An arcade game of that quality tends to lose something in the translation to a home system, and Virtual Racing is no exception. Fortunately, like many of the best arcade-to-home conversions, what suffered was the graphics and not the fun. Virtual Racing does feature SVP technology. What does that mean? Polygon graphics and high-speed gameplay in your home on the Sega Genesis. That's what it means. The polygon rendering
I wanna
is
know
a
what
cut
it-
above anything
Okay,
you've seen
whatever.
previously on the Genesis. But if you're expecting it to look just like the arcade, prepare to be disappointed. You can choose among 3 courses to race. The courses are exciting to play, and you do have a course map to indicate your position on the track. One thing absent from the car was any sort of rear view mirrors. You do have the choice of several different driving views, but the default view directly behind your car is one of the toughest to drive with. The worst aspect about the views is that from almost every angle, you can only see other cars when they are directly beside you. Virtua Racing offers a variety of strong features, and one of its muscle-flexing attributes is the 2-player mode. The screen seemed well-proportioned, had no slowdown, and shared the same overhead map, which was no inconvenience at all. The problem of limited visibility of the other cars is even worse in split-screen mode. Despite these limitations, however, Virtua Racing is fun to play. Unless you demand that it be exactly like the arcade version, you'll probably enjoy it.
All right.
If you
The
stuck your head in...
pros.
One big plus for Virtua Racing is the SVP enhancement chip it uses, Polygon Graphics. Unique arcade-style play is different from most racing simulations. 2-player mode is just as fast as 1-player and does not have a cramped view area.
And the cons.
Because Virtua Racing is an arcade game, it does not feature a full season or championship race to participate in. The
Boo.
graphics enhancement hardware also means Virtua Racing sports a
Yeah,
high
Polly's
price.
gone. All right, we should also try Top Gear Series and F1 pole position. No, I won't try those. We got more. War Game. Tanks.
There's something for everyone.
Oh,
in
War Game
War
Construction
Game
Set 2
Construction
Tanks.
Set 2 Tanks from SSI. As the title suggests, all of your battles center around mechanized warfare in general, and tanks in particular. However, the game is flexible enough to accommodate anyone from the war game novice up to the fanatic who knows the difference between an assault gun and a howitzer.
My thoughts on this newcomer are not as enthusiastic. The minuscule map size, coupled with the complete lack of strategy, help to destroy any merit that this game may lay claim to. I should have known this game wasn't for me when the manual
I'm
described
finished.
it as a large-scale militaristic version of Capture the Flag. A unit simply rolls over an enemy town and the enemy flag magically becomes yours. The game lacks realism. The designers tried to make up for it by including campaigns, but they seem strung out and disconnected. This is compounded by the lack of city names and genuine geography.
Wouldn't have
I
this
think
problem
it's
if you were
safe to
playing
say
Theme
that
Park.
You and I hang out
Just
in
saying.
different areas of the software store because I like this game for the very reason you dislike it. The interface is extremely simple. To move your troops and attack the enemy, you simply point and click. The design is so basic you can select virtually any of the available scenarios and plunge right into battle without having to put a lot of time in studying the manual.
Basic is a great way to describe this thing because I found that writing your little tank pieces around the board gets mighty boring after a while. To win, all you have to do is make sure your tank's men and
Yeah,
equipment
those
are of
hexes
equal
are
or
so
greater strength than your
strange.
computer opponent.
So I'm guessing that you might have a complaint or two that you'd like to vent.
As a matter of fact, I loaded up a Desert Storm scenario and was unfortunate
Uh-huh.
enough to accidentally choose the Iraqis. Call it a slip of the mouse. Soon I was down to one tank and had taken it as far south as possible in the hopes of maybe looping the enemy and taking a flag before becoming baked lunch meat. To my surprise, no U.S. detachment
You were
pursued
fighting
my
up
lone
against
Iraqi
Storm
tank,
and Norman,
on
and you
top of that, they had
lost.
all abandoned their base flags. So my one triumphant tank snatched all of the American colors, and my low opinion of the artificial intelligence was sealed.
For the wargame veteran, Tanks includes campaigns from 12 different time periods,
Good
ranging from the
Lord.
trench warfare of 1918 to the mother of all battles in 1991, with over 13,000 different units included. If you're into designing your own battles, there's a scenario editor that lets you lay out the terrain, the battle order, and the type of equipment available. But I'm guessing you hate that too, right?
If you want to bother with making your own map, I'm not stopping you. The editor is just a ploy to sell the product. It's ugly and clumsy, and the Warlords 2 editor eclipses it.
You seem to have hit most of the low points, but I do have to jump in and whine about the full view map, which is a
Okay.
small square in the lower right-hand corner. Is there a rule that prevents companies from making the entire battlefield possible to see? This needs to be bigger. If you're a wargame fanatic, Tanks is probably going to be a little too simple for your taste. However, if you want to ease your way into battle,
I am not a
this
war
game
game
is a
fanatic.
great
I'm
way
the
to start.
opposite of a war game
Tanks,
fanatic.
But no tanks. Sorry, I had to.
I do like tanks, but no tanks. All right, what are the pros?
This is a game which is easy to get into. The interface's design is very simple, and there are over 1,300 units to choose from to fight your battles.
Yeah, I like theme parks because they're theme park sims because they're peace games. You know, it's just you're doing stuff in peacetime. You don't need to plan tanks. You don't need to plan about what happens if a tank rolls through. I don't know, Peter Gabriel World or whatever your theme park is. You're good. You're good. You don't have to worry about that at all.
The game wasn't even close to being a challenge. The artificial intelligence is limited beyond belief, virtually eliminating any need to wage real war and turning the game into a glorified version of Capture the Flag.
And we should also try the Perfect General and the D-Day series. I don't think I will, but I respect the recommendation. Next is Warlords 2
Let's say that you're a
scenario.
gaming company and you've created this incredible game.
Okay.
It's extremely popular and everyone loves it. What do? Well, if you're smart, you make a scenario editor for it. And that's just what SSG has done for their hit, Warlords 2.
Yep, capitalism is a wonderful institution.
A big improvement that Warlords 2
All
made
right,
over the original is the
I
option
will
use
try
a
to
random
roll a
map.
tank through
Being
tank
able to create
land.
maps at will was a perfect addition to a great strategy game. But after a while, people started to realize that there was something missing. So, here it is, the scenario editor for Warlords 2.
The scenario builder is a great idea and a good product, but don't you think that SSG could have included the option
I love
to
their
edit
faces,
maps
by
in
the way. That's a
original
good
game
face.
instead of having the user go out and buy the add-on for an extra $40? I know it came with 3 discs, but how many of the discs do you think are filled with extra maps SSG has generously included with the editor?
You start the editor with two blank blue screens.
he
The one on the left is your close-up view, and the one on your right is your
good.
strategic view showing your entire map. In the lower right-hand corner, you have the different terrain types.
Each terrain type can easily be placed in the close-up view, but if you want it to show up in the strategic view, you have to choose Remap. Fortunately, it only takes a few seconds to remap the entire screen. Most of the terrain types have several variants, which can be reached by clicking on the More Detail button.
The interface is easy to use.
All right,
Commands are
I
easy
like
to learn,
this.
and the hotkey
Good
system
orb.
makes everything very quick. One big bonus in the
Good
editor is the
orb.
inclusion of 24 pre-made scenarios that can be played or used as a reference.
Although the scenarios probably took up 2 out of the 3 discs, they're quite creative, and they give the initiate map designer some insight into how far one can really take this editor. There are quite a few things that the builder will let you change other than just the map. The graphics for both the cities and the armies can be changed to whatever you'd like. On the right-hand side, you have a representation of how your picture will look against the various background colors.
From sci-fi to Mesopotamian myth, you can create your own monsters from the ground up.
I
First,
like the
click on
orc.
the icon you'd like to change under Edit Armies. Then, give it its own name and edit the stats. Finally, you can edit the picture. You'll do so in a blown-up, pixelated paintbrush box. There's a limited palette of colors, but it is possible to create something with the use of light and shade that looks acceptable in miniature minimized.
One unfortunate
Whoa,
thing about this
cool
particular
face.
editor is that you're not able to import pictures
Welcome,
for
Juan.
your
We
armies
play
or
in,
cities,
we watch
only
an
your map.
interactive
And
entertainment.
after
30.
editing your army and city
There we go.
pictures,
Had
you'd
it
think
just
that
my
you'd
seat.
be able to edit the different terrain tiles and shields, but for some dumb reason you can't.
You're absolutely right. If you've got to do something of this sort, why not go all the way? As you might have guessed, you are able to change almost any attribute of anything you can think of, from armies to ruins to cities and even signs. And if there's any kind of name in the
Oh,
original
Torio.
Warlords
I
2
thought it
game
said
that you
crown
don't
of
like,
toilet,
it
and
can
I was
be
going to
changed.
say, I want that
As an
crown.
example of this liberal freedom, I made a monster with a move of 98. I edited the picture into a bright yellow meteor with legs. To keep it fair, though, I only gave him a strength of 1.
A scenario editor wouldn't be a scenario editor if all you could do was edit maps. In the Warlords 2 scenario editor, you're able to create a virtual world by giving descriptions of your various cities, ruins, characters, and generally giving anything in the game descriptions. A creative person can combine these together to create a very convincing storyline.
The real pain lies in the fact that in order to create a believable map, you have to name all of your cities. As you start getting into the 50s, your little city name muse starts to get very tired.
Overall, the Warlords 2
Just name
scenario
it
editor
after,
is a perfect addition to the
generals.
Warlords games. It's got almost everything you could want in an editor,
Pattonville.
and its ease of use is a breath of fresh air compared to many of the other editors out there.
Schwarzkopfville.
Leave it, folks. The joy challenging the AI on your home turf gives you a slight air of security and a boost of morale, which comes in handy if you've just come off a losing streak.
All right. The pros.
The interface is incredibly easy to use, and there are plenty of things to edit.
And the cons.
You can't edit the terrain pictures or the shield pictures. You also cannot import pictures for anything but the map.
All right. What else should we try here? The War Game Construction Series, the Breach Series, and the Bard's Tale Construction Set. That seems like normal recommendations here, yeah. All right, we got Wing Armada.
After 4 years, Origin seems to have the Wing Commander series of games down to a science.
Oh, Dotto
Finally,
is
they
on
appear ready to
after
tinker with
we
the
do
formula a
interactive
bit. First
entertainment.
with Privateer, and now with Wing Commander Armada. That's right, the rumors are true. The latest commander is multiplayer.
Flight Sim fanatics have always said that the best opponents are human. Now that I've experienced multiplayer games for myself, I
Yeah,
think they're
Dotto's
right.
after intermission.
Modem games are more popular than ever, and if you have a friend you can dial up and play with, this game is a must-have for your collection.
For those people that are craving some new Wing Commander action and don't want to blast their friends, there's a
I
campaign
have
mode,
heard
a
of
gauntlet
Dotto's
mode,
Data
and for those
Cafe, but I
strategy
haven't
buffs,
actually
Origin has
seen an
included a simple
episode. I
but
think it's
fun
on
tactical
YouTube.
strategy
It's
game.
somewhere.
You thought the strategy game was fun? What's your favorite color? Tweed? Calling the Armada and campaign modes strategy games is like calling the plots of the other WC games interactive movies. The strategy part is painfully simple and not very interesting. It's just a context. It's an excuse for more battles. This is a multiplayer game first and foremost. Fans of the previous Wing Commander games will openly drool when they see the new graphics engine. The ships are beautiful. With the new addition
You're
of
gonna
Baroque
openly
shading,
drool,
and
folks.
Close flybys are much less painful to look at. Ships' shields are actually visible as a shimmering blue globe when they get shot. Your ship even gets knocked around when your opponent scores a hit.
The graphics are amazing. I barely noticed any pixelation at close distances. Sure is nice to be able to fly right up to a capital ship without having it turn into a big blob. I enjoyed the sound and music quite a bit. It seems that with every new Origin release, they top their last effort with better music and sound effects. Just wait until you hear the music for Wing Commander 3.
Easy, boy. You're jumping the gun by 6 months or so. Try to remember which game we're reviewing here. But you're absolutely right. The sound and music, especially the sound, is improved tenfold over the other WC games. You can even record wave files through your sound card and turn them into taunts. It just doesn't get any cooler than this.
The net play for Wing Armada is intense. In the initial release, 2 wing jockeys can duke it out at once, and more players will be available in the future.
Yeah, in the floppy version, net play is basically the same as modem play, but once the CD version gets out, we'll see those extra players you talked about, 6 or 8 players in total.
There are 10 ships to choose from in the multiplayer and gauntlet modes, 5 Confederate and 5 from the Kilrathi. Yes, you heard that correctly. For the first time in a Wing Commander game, you can fly for the Kilrathi.
I can fly as the furries,
There are
yeah.
10 ships to choose from in the Armada and campaign games, too. You just have to build them. The inclusion of light, medium, and heavy fighters is a great thing to throw in, though, I must admit. All of us who've had to go up against a Kilrathi heavy fighter in some con-fed tin mosquito can now happily turn the tables and revel in extreme firepower.
The Gauntlet mode is a fun and simple way to practice your close combat fighting. You just fight, and then you fight some more. It reminds me a lot of Wing Commander Academy.
Even though I don't think this game is very strong in the one-player department, I did get a kick out of the Gauntlet. It's just one intense battle after another, just what Wing Commander freaks like best. It's also a great way to
Any
turn
of y'all
yourself
Wing
into
Commander
a merciless
freaks?
deathmonger and make your friend look like a blithering idiot the next time the two of you play head-to-head. You can also play multiplayer Gauntlet in either cooperative or competitive mode. A human wingman, what'll they think of next?
The campaign mode is a good addition for those striving for a little more structure in gameplay, but one of the cooler additions is the strategy mode called Armada. For a strategy game, it's extremely simple. It really only involves manufacturing various items, building a fleet, and conquering planets. But one of the special things about Armada mode is the ability to jump into any battle and actually play it out.
The campaign mode is
Ooh.
just an expanded version of the Armada game, with more than one sector to explore and an enemy homeworld to conquer at the end. But didn't we talk about the strategy games already? In the dictionary under redundant, it says C redundant.
I'd have to say that one of my only gripes with this game is that it's easy to run into another ship, which in a way isn't really a gripe. It's gonna happen no matter what. There's not much they can do to stop it.
Don't be so wishy-washy, Charlie Brown. If you're gonna whine, whine. Don't just sit in the corner and whimper. I thought it was too easy to run into people, too.
Excuse
Many
me?
of the computer-controlled ships fly like little kids playing chicken on their Schwinns. Of course, when you and I fly headlong into each other, we only have ourselves to blame.
Overall, I found Wing Armada to be just what the doctor ordered. It couldn't have been much better if I had designed it myself.
That's not much of a compliment. I have serious doubts about your programming skills. For my nickel, in multiplayer mode, I think Armada ranks right up there with Doom as a game you simply have to play at least once before you die. I'm glad Origin waited until they had a new engine before they released this, since the enhanced graphics and sound make this terrific game all the more exciting. As a one-player game, though, I don't think it has all that much to offer. The Gauntlet is fun enough, but the strategy portion of this package is just a painfully simplified Master of Orion knockoff. If you play modem or net games, you can't live without Armada. But if you're just a lonely schmo looking for some more Wing Commander action, save your money for Wing 3.
Okay, we got the multiplayer Wing Commander
After-
Armada game. Very popular.
The new
What are
graphics
pros?
engine, a preview of what's to come in Wing 3, has been greatly improved, especially at close quarters. The shield's visuals are great and should have been added a long time ago. Music and sound effects are top-notch, and the ability to record your own taunts absolutely makes the game.
Oh my god, I would... My taunt would be an air horn noise, and it would play every time I killed a human.
Armada holds little appeal for one player, but even worse is the fact that only 2 network players will be supported until the CD is released this fall.
What else should we try? X-Wing, Wing Commander Series, and Star Control. Okay. Not bad suggestions. I think we have one more review left. And that is Excalibur 2097.
Despite what you might think from the title, Activision's Excalibur 2097 is not an Arthurian update. There is a sword involved, and that's about where the similarity ends. The story by comic book writer Mark London Williams takes place in a future New York dominated by a crime lord named Raptor. Raptor has an army of mutants under his power, and you'd think that would be enough to take over any major metropolitan center. But he's worried about the 2 special agents he hasn't been able to corrupt or kill yet, a Sting lookalike named Slash and his cute female partner, Alex. Raptor kidnaps Alex to bring Slash out of fighting with his sword, which happens to be named Excalibur. By the way, the surprise is that Slash and Raptor are really brothers. This is such a big secret that they tell you on page 3 of the instruction booklet. Slash travels from bleak urban locale to bleak urban locale, chopping villains in twain with his trusty blade. Each level has its own major bad guy, and suddenly you find yourself in the middle of a kick-and-punch game. For those of you who love this part and don't give a flying duck about the plot, the 2-player version is nothing but a couple of characters hacking the ever-loving mess out of each other. Total nuclear frenzy. There are a number of good reasons for picking up this game. Unfortunately, the soundtrack is not one of them. Almost half the promotional material is geared toward the fact that a real honest-to-goodness techno band performed the slammin' sounds on the game. Frankly, I like the idea of a rock soundtrack on a game. Sadly, the band involved, Psychosonic, has less musical creativity than a determined swarm of flies.
They hate the soundtrack. I like the soundtrack. I don't know what they were complaining about.
The graphics are good, and the story was engaging, if not hugely original.
And the cons?
The soundtrack got on my nerves. It takes a lot away from the sound effects, and despite the fact that it was performed by an actual band, Psychosonic, it was as dull as cold toast. Don't quit your day job, guys.
What else should we try? The Castlevania series, Super Metroid, and Hey, Mortal Kombat is nothing like Metroid and Castlevania. You literally, never mind. You know what? What do I know about this? So I want to look at the demos.
This
I wanna see what
section
demos
will
we
install
have.
game demos to your hard drive.
Imagination Network. I wish I could do that. Do we want to play any of these? Screw it. Let's try Hocus Pocus. I'm just gonna see if it actually installs. Okay. Really distribute share version of Hocus Pocus to your hard drive. Click done. Close this text. Okay. Done. Okay. I just want to see if it'll work.
Sequest so you can destroy what's left of the world, is that it?
I forgot I had the Sequest DSV theme, so that scared the crap out of me. Yeah. That looks good.
Yeah, sure. Sit down. I'll get you a beer. He's only 16 down. Get him too.
Why is one of the sound clips about giving a 16-year-old beer? What the fuck? Okay.
To play what you've just installed, exit Windows and change directories to where you install the demo. Remember, some software may require you to reconfigure for sound and graphics.
All right, let's go to the main menu and let's see if we can actually play this. Oh my god, why did I do that? Why did I sequest my ass? All right, let's check my computer. E-drive. I like that Space Ghost is still here. I haven't moved him. Focus. This? Folks. It froze. I was really hoping to put on Hocus, but Hocus is like no cuss and refuses to run. So that's cool. It's just straight up frozen. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Peter Sellers are ourselves here, so let me. Oh, it's frozen. Okay, hold on. I gotta manually get out of here. Hold on. Okay. Nope. Mouse is. There we go. It literally won't stop. There we go. All right. So apparently the demos freeze my setup. That's a bit unfortunate, but that's Interactive Entertainment issue 03. We saw Wing Commander. We saw a bunch of reviews. We saw a bunch of haters for Jurassic Park Interactive, which fair enough. I thought that was a good issue. We will be doing issue 4 next month, and I'll have to find a video to accompany it with. Also, yeah, I do plan in the future playing maybe Theme Park or some older sim theme park games and seeing what I can build, because that'd be fun. All right, next up is the final episode of Dotto's Data Cafe. So we're going to intermission. I found a good tape for intermission. I think you're all going to like it. It's all about a Pontiac Bonnevere, but you'll see, you'll hear it. It's beautiful. Enjoy the intermission, and I'll see y'all in about 10 minutes.
Welcome to the world of excitement, the world of the all-new 1988 Pontiac Bonneville SSE.
Your Bonneville SSE is a new breed of a state-of-the-art luxury touring sedan, designed with your convenience, comfort, and motoring pleasure in mind.
From the new V6 fuel-injected 3800 engine to the Teves anti-lock brakes and the electronic ride control, power, performance, and state-of-the-art electronics are at your command.
This audio tape will introduce you to many of the operational features of your SSE. Please take the time to listen. We're sure it will prove worthwhile. You're in for a thrill. Your 1988 Pontiac Bonneville SSE.
The first step to enjoyment of your SSE is to sit in the driver's seat and adjust it to your comfort with your 8-way Power Sport seat controls. On the front of the seat, toward the floor, there are 2 switches and a joystick. The switch toward the center console controls the up and down movement of the front of the seat. The center joystick provides forward and backward and up and down movement of the entire seat. To move the rear of the seat up and down, use the switch toward the door. To adjust the recline of the seat back, use the additional two-way switch on the side of the seat toward the door.
A special treat for your driving comfort is located on the center console. To make those long cruises more enjoyable, your sports seat is equipped with lumbar and headrest controls. The upper 4 switches control the inflation mode of the seat back, while the lower 4 switches control the deflation mode. You can inflate or deflate the upper, middle, or lower sections of your seat back, and also control the headrest. Be sure to set the selector switch on the center console to either the driver or passenger position for correct lumbar and headrest adjustments.
Your 1988 SSE is equipped with many outstanding lighting features. Just depressing the outside door handle button will allow you to view the inside of the car before entry with your illuminated entry system. The interior lights will remain on for about 20 seconds, or will go off upon inserting the ignition key. Dual reading lights are at your fingertips directly above the rear view mirror on the overhead console. To operate your fog lamps, the switch to engage them is also located on this overhead console. These fog lights work in tandem with your low beam headlamps only. An indicator light in the fog lamp switch will be illuminated when your fog lamps are engaged. For you and your front seat passenger, the visors are equipped with illuminated vanity mirrors with low and high settings for the lights. Your passengers in the rear seats will find switches for the independent operation of the focused reading lights.
Another outstanding feature of your SSE is the Twilight Sentinel lighting system. The control wheel for this system is located to the left of the headlight switch on the dashboard. The system serves 2 functions. The first is to control your headlights automatically. When the Twilight Sentinel control is on and the headlight switch is off, the system will turn on your lights automatically in response to the outside light sensor. The light sensor is located near the defrost vent on the passenger side. Be sure you don't place objects over the sensor. It will affect the performance of the system.
To light the way to your destination in areas where lighting may not be available or accessible, the second feature of the Twilight Sentinel is a headlight off delay. Your lights will remain on after the ignition is off for a preset time from 5 seconds, with the control knob rotated toward the bottom, to 3 minutes with the control knob rotated to the full up position.
To allow you to lock or unlock all doors and the gas cap cover from either of the front doors, your SSE is equipped with key-activated power door locks. The adjustment controls for your power exterior tinted rearview mirrors are on the driver's side door trim panel. The 4-way button gives you full adjustment control with a sliding switch to select either the driver or passenger side mirror. The turn signal lever on the steering column serves a number of functions. In addition to signaling turns, the multi-function lever has cruise control with the tap-up and tap-down feature, offering 1-mile increases or decreases in your driving speed. The lever also controls the windshield and headlamp washer systems. The headlamp washers will spray a high-pressure pulse of solvent for 1 second when the windshield washers are operated with the headlamps on. There is a delay built into the system to save solvent during the repeated windshield washer operations. The controlled cycle wiper feature allows you to adjust the sweep of the wipers up to a 16-second delay. Always remember to keep the washer fluid reservoirs filled. They're clearly marked in the engine compartment. The flash to pass feature will be engaged by pulling the turn signal lever toward you. The flash to pass will work if your headlights are illuminated or not. To ease your entry and exit from the vehicle, the tilt feature of your steering wheel is controlled by the short lever behind your multi-function turn signal lever.
Now that you're familiar with some of the basic operational controls of your new SSE, you probably have noticed some unfamiliar controls in your steering wheel. In addition to the horn, the center of the steering wheel is equipped with the innovative GM Delco redundant radio controls for the operation of your AM/FM cassette stereo. Most of the buttons are self-explanatory, like AM/FM band selection, volume control, tune-up and tune-down buttons, front or rear speaker faders. Seek, which will move to the next available station. Scanning, which will sample all available stations for a few seconds. Depressing the button again will lock that station in. And Preset, for tuning your selected stations. Two buttons that may be unfamiliar are the RCL, Recall, and Mute buttons. The RCL Recall button will display the time or selected station on your radio. The Mute button will stop all sound or resume sound if you press it again.
In the center of the dash are the controls for your AM/FM stereo cassette sound system. Your SSE is equipped with additional acoustical insulation, providing an excellent environment for your stereo listening pleasure. Remember to depress the orange Power On button near the graphic display of your stereo. You can then control the sound system from your remote buttons on the steering wheel or from the center console receiver. The sound system graphic display provides you with information about the time, station frequency, AM or FM stereo signals, scan data, volume, and speaker balance. You can pre-select up to 5 AM and 5 FM stations.
Also, for your listening pleasure, the stereo system includes a 5-band graphic equalizer for fine sound adjustments. The 60 and 250 slider bars control bass. The 1K slider bar controls mid-range frequencies. And the 3.5K and 10K bars control treble. The auto-reverse stereo cassette player has fast-forward and reverse controls, a tape bias setting button, and music seek and repeat buttons. Your stereo is equipped with an exclusive anti-theft system called Delco Lock. To fully understand this system, and for tips on maintaining your stereo, be sure to look over this information in the owner's manual, page 2C-27. An important thing to remember when visiting a car wash is to turn the radio off to retract the power antenna.
Your 1988 SSE has a number of new visual displays. After inserting the ignition key and starting the engine, take a look at your instrumentation display. On the far left, you will see your electronic compass. There are two buttons, Mode and Set, which are for calibration purposes only. The factory presets the compass. Unless the compass displays the word Calibrate, or you want to fine-tune the compass for your area, you can leave these buttons alone. If the word Calibrate is showing, see your owner's manual, beginning on page 2C-9 for the procedures to reset your compass. Next to the compass are the analog gauges for voltage, engine temperature, and oil pressure.
I'm back. Now you all know how to use your Pontiac Bonneville. You excited? You excited for your Bonneville, which has which apparently has tape features where you can rewind the tape and fast forward the tape. So pretty exciting, pretty exciting. All right. Next up, we are gonna finish off Dotto on data or data, as you might put it. This is episode 8, final episode, just one, and then we're done with Dotto until more of his stuff gets archived. So let's go, Dotto.
I've just been playing with my new Newton that I received recently from Apple.
Newton!
You know, the Newton is just one example of the new computer appliances that the industry is bringing to us. And the reason they're bringing us all of these different tools? To allow us to manipulate and deal with data in a more effective way. You know, it's difficult to come up with very many areas where computers don't touch our lives.
Oh, and I missed it. Thank you, no
If we
problems.
take a quick look through
513
the
sub.
average
Thank you so
house,
much.
we may see evidence of computer technology everywhere. You don't agree? Think about it for a second. In the kitchen, there's microwaves, clocks, and fridges. Computer technology is used to control all of these appliances. There's usually a phone in the kitchen as well. And the entire telephone network is switched and managed through the use of computers, as is the power company providing the electricity to run all those appliances. As we move out of the kitchen and into the family room, we see computer technology everywhere, from the TV and video game. Too easy, you say? I say nothing is too obvious to escape the notice of Dotto on data. But elsewhere as well, in our stereo, for instance, it has a CD player and a digital tuner. You see, computer technology touches us everywhere. And what are computers designed to process? Data. Whether your bank account information in an automated teller machine or your long-distance phone bill, data comes into play everywhere. Now, when history is written 50 years from now, who do you think they'll call the Henry Ford or the John D. Rockefeller of our age? Who will be the biggest employers? Where will the most jobs be found? The most exciting career opportunities? Might it be just once again that we have to look in the direction of the data flow? Now, I personally believe that one of the real visionaries of our times is a fellow named Ted Turner. He's the guy who formed CNN and Turner Broadcasting. The reason I'm impressed with Turner is he saw several years ago the real value of owning data. Only he probably calls it content. Every time one of his reporters files a news story that someone else wants to use on the evening news, Turner makes money. He creates and sells content to others. He also buys content and then rents it out to others in the form of movie libraries and the like.
He's not
in my
wrong.
Terms, all the stuff Turner buys, sells, rents, and creates can be called data. Of course, as visionaries like Turner continue adding data to the huge volume currently available, the skill for the data processor will become more and more vital. I saw a very interesting segment on the news the other day. The Employment Center was listing a bunch of job opportunities. Here are just some of the ones that really made me sit up and take notice. Wanted, a welder with some computer knowledge. Wanted, garage mechanic with some computer skills. Wanted, plant worker with some knowledge of computers. As my friend Newton said the other day, the writing is on the monitor. The computer has arrived in a big way as the all-purpose tool of our time, one that is being applied to a never-expanding range of jobs and professions. Question: what was the first electronic computer? Answer: ENIAC, for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. It contained 18,000 vacuum tubes and only had a speed of several hundred multiplications per minute. You know, the computer-based technologies that we're developing to handle and process data in all its forms are evolving and changing so rapidly that when you stand up on your tiptoes and look into the near future to see what's coming next, it's already here. And so is my special guest for today, Alan Vinter from Apple Canada. Alan, welcome to my televised basement.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
I want to spend some time with you gazing into a crystal ball with a little help from your company, Apple. We spent this whole series discussing how we use and access data. Now, your company is very concerned about changing the ways that we create and access data through the use of two new technologies, handwriting recognition and voice recognition.
That's correct.
Now, historically, I guess we've used the keyboard as the basic way that we input data into the computer. Am I correct there?
That's correct. Yeah, you use the keyboard with possibly some sort of pointing device. We use a mouse, possibly a stylus or something like that.
Yeah. Now, through the use of voice recognition and handwriting recognition, Apple's looking at changing the way that we basically interface with the computer.
Well, we're looking at making things easier for the average
iPhone did
person
change how we
to
interface
not only
with
create
computers.
content, but navigate through content. So if we can use voice or natural language interface with the machine and navigate the realms of digital data out there, or if we can use handwriting recognition like the Newton has to access some personal information, for instance, it makes it easier for those people that possibly are intimidated by the keyboard, etc., to get at that data.
I am not intimidated by a keyboard.
The whole
I
idea
see a
is opening
keyboard
up
and I
access
feel normal.
and new content creation tools.
Absolutely. Well, the access and the creation of the data through some sort of interface, correct.
Let's talk briefly about this Newton technology. Now, the Newton is a real departure from Apple, from what it's traditionally built desktop computers and desktop software for us to use. Now, here's a device that we can walk around with, and this is called the Newton Personal Digital Assistant. It's a message pad. That's correct. Now, this is designed as a sort of an organizer, an electronic organizer for me, but it's got some twists, doesn't it?
Well, it's more than an organizer, Steve. It's really a communicating device. Not only does it store your personal information, phone numbers, notes, date timer, that sort of thing, but it allows you to communicate with either electronic mail or through the fax modem, so you'll be able to send faxes to people. You will be able to get paging cards for it, so you'll be able to get your pages on your machine. You'll be able to, in the very near future, get cellular modem connections and cellular phone capabilities, possibly not in this form factor, but in the Newton family of products.
So the whole idea is to exchange data or information from my brain into the computer to store it.
Yeah,
into the Newton, or from
when I
somebody
think
else.
of
For
the
instance,
Newton,
you
all
and
I can
could
think
be
of
arranging
is
an
The
appointment or
Simpsons
sending
and Eat Up
information back and
Martha.
forth, and we can use this to facilitate the transfer
That's
and
correct.
storage of that data.
Right. The Newton comes with an infrared device or infrared transfer capabilities, so that you and I, if I had my Newton here, we could, for instance, exchange electronic business cards instead of doing the swap that we normally would when we met.
Now, this is fascinating to me because when we start dealing with a new input, which we all learn from grade 1, which is handwriting, but the handwriting, once it enters the Newton, doesn't stay in a graphical form. It actually converted to similarly as if I typed it in. Am I correct there?
That's right. I mean, you use your natural way of writing, whether it's cursive or if it's printed, and it will then translate the information through its recognizers to data that it can store for you.
And at that point there, that data becomes exchangeable with other systems or editable. That doesn't mean it tastes good. It means we can change it.
That's right. Once the data is in there, you can manipulate it, send it, use it, whatever. Print it.
Now, this is the first. You said it, not this form factor earlier. We were talking about how the Newton is going to be available in several different forms. This is interesting. Now, am I correct in assuming when I look at technologies, I kind of like to gaze out and say, well, I expect that they'll do something like this with it. Will, for instance, do you think then in 10 or 15 years from now, students' desks will have something like this technology built into them, so that instead of writing on paper, they'll be writing on their desk, and that information will be shared with the teacher or other students? Is that?
I mean,
that's a fair assumption.
Kind
I think
of?
that'll probably happen a lot sooner than 10, 15 years out.
No, it
The
didn't.
Newton
It
itself,
didn't.
like you were
It didn't
mentioning,
do
this
that.
is a product family. This is the first of a series of products that will be coming from Apple. Newton technology has also been licensed by a variety of third parties that will be coming out with technologies around Newton's capabilities.
So that means that for the first time, Apple's going to be allowing other people to use their infrastructure to develop hardware products.
That's exactly right. You'll see Newton technology incorporated into telephone systems, etc.
Oh, that's fascinating. So a telephone, so you could be talking to somebody on a phone, sending graphical notes back and forth, for instance.
For instance, or jotting down some information, an address, for instance, if you're going somewhere to meet a client.
Okay, do you have any other favorite applications of Newton that you know of that you want to share with us?
Not off the top of my head, Steve.
That's okay. That's fine. Well, I think I've come up with some pretty good ones for us. Now, handwriting recognition is just the first of the new input or control methods that we're going to talk about. Something I think is certainly a lot sexier as far as, although I like this a lot, but certainly a lot sexier is the whole voice recognition. I mean, we watch Star Trek on
voice
television
recognition
and we
has
see
gone
Jean-Luc
pretty far.
Picard saying,
I will
"Computer,
admit that.
bring up data on such and such," and the computer talks back to good old Jean-Luc. Are we heading in that direction now?
We are heading in that direction. We've just announced 2 machines that do have voice recognition or speech recognition capabilities. The technology is in its infancy. It's not like HAL 9000 or the computer in Star Trek where you say make it so and it does everything and responds to you in a very nice manner, but certainly we're moving towards that.
So it's not too polite yet.
Well, it's fairly polite. It knows how to say things in a fairly polite manner, but the technology that enables you to do that is sort of in its infancy. We've traditionally, there hasn't been voice recognition or speech recognition on the desktop. It's been limited to sort of the larger machines because of the horsepower required in order for you to be able to do the recognition. Now we've got powerful enough machines on the desktop, we can start migrating that kind of technology to the desktop.
So it's just like it is just in its infancy, like teaching a baby to talk. At the very beginning, they recognize simple words, and eventually they learn to string them together and do more with it.
Exactly, and I think you see when we get into the demo that this is fairly sophisticated already.
Well, why don't we start taking a look at it?
Okay, Steve, why don't we start it up here. I've got to go to my speech control panel and fire it up. You'll see that I've got a couple of things. I can name my computer. I can call it just computer. Or I could name it Watson, which I have done in this case. I can set it up so that I may have to speak Watson's name before I go in and give a command, or I could set it up in such a way that I'll say his name, and
I guess that I can see the reason for that, because if if you don't have the computer's name, if you don't say Watson do something, then I could be talking on the phone. It could pick up something that I say on the phone, like
Yeah,
I think
Steve
I'm gonna,
Dotto's a good host. I really like his
that
hosting
club that
ability.
I've joined, and it might
He's
think that
very
you're talking
chill.
about quitting the file you're in.
Exactly.
That would be bad.
For demo, that would be bad. It could be quite bad. It could speak back over the phone. You might not want that. For demo purposes, what I've got is I've got it set up so that I have to speak Watson's name before I issue a command, because I might want to talk about Watson or explain what I'm doing in my demo, and I don't want Watson to necessarily react until I've asked him to. And I can go in there and select some animated characters. Let me just turn Watson on here, and while this loads up...
So now my computer's named Watson. Oh, welcome, Watson.
Watson's not quite ready to respond to you yet, but you'll hear him shortly.
Oh, look at Watson's dressed. He's got a bow tie.
He's got a bow tie, and he's ready now. So now we've turned on voice recognition. So let's see how good he is today. Watson, hello.
Hello, welcome to Macintosh.
Watson, what day is it?
Listen to Watson.
December 20, 1993.
Watson, what time is it? Watson, what time is it?
1:59 and 18 seconds.
Okay, so there's an introduction to what Watson can do.
And Watson's got to do like I do.
He does. He's got more hair than I do. There you go.
Okay, now Watson is sitting there, and you can make him several different characters if you want. I mean, you can have some fun with it, and as if this isn't fun enough, having my computer talking back to me.
There are male characters and female characters, and then there's sort of animated like an electronic robot if you don't want a facsimile of a person.
Of a person. So that might be a little bit too
And
much.
there is male and female voices, so that depending on what your preference is, you can select either a male or female voice.
Okay.
Good.
Now, in order for voice or speech technology to be somewhat useful, we've got to be able to do more than just have a simple interaction with the computer. We want to be able to start to manipulate possibly the environment that we're working in or an application. Now, because we've tightly integrated the voice recognition capabilities into the Macintosh operating system, some applications that are written to Macintosh guidelines that understand AppleScript and Apple events, they can start taking advantage of speech recognition, meaning that I'll be able to speak the menu commands in applications that are already written, that were written before speech was introduced to our hardware platform.
Okay. We should just backtrack a little for our viewers. AppleScript and Apple events are basically extensions that allow software to be accessed through the system. Am I correct? So that you can go in and maybe you can describe it better.
Pretty close. What Apple events is really an architecture that allows applications to talk to one another, communicate with one another, activate one another, send data back and forth between each.
So the voice recognition actually works as another independent almost application that sends information into the software and says, he's telling you to open a new file now, and then the software will recognize
That's how we link the speech recognition.
I like
so now I can
Dotto's
speak
very
the menu items of applications that were written that way.
It's
and what
so
I'll do is
dignified.
I'll ask Watson to open up an application that does exactly
That
that.
is a mullet with dignity that
Watson,
bro
open
has.
up MacWrite Pro.
Now, we were using MacWrite Pro earlier in our demonstration on word processing. So you're using the same software that I was using to show word processing, but now you're working. Oh, you've got your file ready to go already. Excellent.
We've got a file here, and I'll just give you a quick demo of what you can do with an existing application. Again, like you were saying, this is an application that you're using previously. It was written before speech technology was introduced to our product line. And let's
Just a second before you do. Watson, what time is it? Watson, what time is it?
He understood Watson. He didn't.
He understood Watson. So you have to be very careful about
Working
how
great,
you speak to it as
bros.
well.
You want to talk to it.
2:01 and 58 seconds.
There you go.
Oh, he heard me. Thank you, Watson. Oh.
Okay.
What a cute fellow. I think I'm going to take him home. Okay, so you're going to show
No,
us.
don't take
You
Watson
want to
home.
talk to Watson as naturally as you and I are just talking right now. So,
Really?
Yeah. If you start to break up your speech, then he recognizes that you've called him, but doesn't understand that there's more to come.
And people don't speak, when they speak to a computer, they think they have to speak louder, or
That's right,
it's quite
that's
funny
right.
and quite humorous. I guess you've done a lot of the demonstrations where people...
When Watson stops listening to me, I speak a little bit louder, a little bit faster, or whatnot, and it doesn't help.
It doesn't help. So it's like pushing the button on the elevator a whole
Getting
bunch of times.
mad at Watson does not help.
It's not going to happen. So let's go ahead here. Watson, select all.
Wow, that's
Watson, 24
way
point.
more of a pain in the ass than just Control A.
Sounds like the Major General.
Watson, 24 point. Watson, Helvetica. Watson, Helvetica. Watson times. It already was in Helvetica. Watson italic. Watson quit. Watson no.
Oh, okay.
That was tremendous. Can I try it?
Absolutely.
Watson, open Mac Write Pro. Hey,
Oh,
it
it
saw me.
recognized.
So we've got very different voices, but it was still able to How did
Watson,
Apple
give me
ever
hot
manage
dog.
to make the software recognize so many different voices with so many different variations in what we do?
Well, how we did it, I can't really tell you exactly how we did it. It's not a secret, but I wasn't involved in the development process, and the development process.
How long did it take them then?
It took them quite a while. They've been working on this technology. I think Watson was introduced to the public possibly a year and a half, 2 years ago.
That's when I first started hearing about it.
Yeah, and they had been working quite a while.
Now,
Sorry,
you have
just
to
the way
expect
that
one of the
Watson
driving
is
forces
just
behind
not
this
doing
dealing with
great is
handicap,
beautiful.
allowing people that can't type or have access to computers. Is this a real function that they're starting to use this for today?
Absolutely. The technology that we've included into our product is being used by several software manufacturers that deal specifically with handicap solutions. And they are using the technology to enable people that have physical disabilities that don't allow them to use the keyboard and that do have good speech capabilities to use it as a device or as an input device.
Okay, Watson, quit. Watson, quit. There we go, and since I hadn't made any changes, it doesn't ask me if I want to save or not.
That's right.
What's the next thing that we should look at as far as the software? There is one area where we can take the software, I understand, and now we've all we've been giving commands into it. Now, we've just given commands to use it to control the command structure. Everybody's going to want the same thing that I want, which is I don't like typing.
Right.
And I want to be able to say, take a letter, dear Mom, and then go off and say, send money, please, and have it type it in for me and mail it for me.
Right.
Mom, could you send me money
What's
for
the
another
difference between that
Watson?
technology and this technology?
My Newton
Well,
isn't working.
what we've got with our recognition capabilities right now is more of a command recognizer. We can issue commands and ask the computer to do certain things for us, and it recognizes it. For dictation, it's a little bit more difficult. Although we do recognize continuous speech with our recognizer today, when somebody is going to be dictating something, they're going to be wanting to speak in a natural manner. You don't want to start talking slowly to your computer so that it can start to recognize your words, because I'd rather use the keyboard. It'd be a little bit faster. So there's a couple of things that we have to look at. One is that there's going to be an awful lot of information coming from that person that's dictating the information. Second of all, the dictionary is going to be much larger, and there might be specific dictionaries to, for instance, the legal.
Syntax, the technical
exactly,
terms.
Technical terms for legal or for medical, etc.
Yeah, true. This
and then the third
channel
thing that you
is
have to
using
incorporate is
auto-generated
some sort of
captions.
grammar and language rules,
So,
that the computer
we're
can
being
understand
Watsoned
which
here.
version of the word are you using, etc.
So the difference between through, as I walked through the door and I threw him the ball, that's going to be very difficult for the computer to understand.
It's very difficult. What we've done with our recognizer is we've made it speaker or voice independent, so both you and I can use it. So it's matching our voice patterns against patterns that it understands. And that requires an awful lot of processing power. There are some companies that are working using our technology and other technologies that can do dictation, but typically what you have to do in those solutions is you have to train that solution for your voice and the way that you speak certain words and elements.
So for one individual, as opposed to this technology, will work with just about anybody that speaks fairly clearly.
Right.
This would be trained for one individual, how they speak, so it can be faster, so it has a smaller recognizer library, that sort of stuff?
Exactly.
Oh
it's
my
trained
God,
on your voice,
I completely
so that
forgot about
it doesn't have
Dragon.
to take as much processing time in
I
trying
remember
to figure out what it is
Dragon.
that you're
I
saying. It
really
matches those
do.
patterns,
Oh, wow.
and it has more time or
That's
more
a
processing
classic.
power to go out there and look at the language rules and look at the bigger dictionary to try and figure out what it is that you've said.
Okay, that's fascinating. And wild ballpark guess, how long till we're going to start to see those applications appearing for public consumption?
Those applications are appearing today.
We're starting to see them already.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. This keyboard is going to be history for me as soon as that happens.
There you go.
Wrong. You're going to still use that keyboard, bro. Trust me.
The computer for my spelling mistakes, which I have a serious problem with.
I just blame it on typos right now.
No, I can't do that when I speak. You ought to see how it happens.
Okay.
Now, the one other area is what you call text to speech.
Actually, before we get to text to speech, I was going to show you what we did with the demonstration with, how are we doing for time?
We're doing great.
Are we?
You can
Okay.
show me whatever you want.
Yeah,
what
go
I showed
over,
you
it
was
doesn't
an
matter.
application where I spoke the command items, the menu items. That may not be the most effective way of using speech, because if I know the application really well, and I know the keyboard shortcuts, and I know how to mouse through a document fairly easily, I could probably manipulate and get through that document a lot quicker using the keyboard shortcuts and the mouse than dictating the commands. The real advantage of voice or speech recognition is going to come when the third-party developers start taking advantage of voice recognition and start developing natural language interfaces to their applications, so that you don't have to learn pull-down menu items or keyboard shortcuts. You, for instance, can start using and utilizing terminology that you would in your discipline, and start using the computer as a tool. So I would talk to the computer using the same kind of language that I would be doing in for instance, a
give
studio.
me a kiss.
If you know the terminology of video editing, etc., you should be able to give those kinds of commands to the computer rather than the person that's sitting behind the video machine right now, and hopefully the computer would start to do things for you.
That would be super to show, because in a previous show we talked about video editing on the computer. So
right, I understand.
It's something that our viewers are certainly well versed in. Why don't you give us a quick
let's
sample
take a look here. This is a video editing piece of software. It's a demo version of the software that the company has allowed us to use for demonstration purposes to show off the AV technology. So let's fire it up now. Watson, open Quick Flicks.
Quick Flicks?
He looks like he concentrates so hard when he's trying to do something.
He does. He's doing an awful lot of stuff in the background.
Oh, this is from Video Fusion. I know.
Video Fusion,
They create
yes.
some nice special effects software.
Okay, there's the disclaimer saying it's only a demo version of the software.
What the hell
Watson,
is
show
that?
storyboard.
Hey.
Watson, zoom window.
Oh.
Watson, select scene 3, clip 1 and 2.
I would so much rather use
2-second barn door transition. Watson,
I would much rather click instead of using voice.
So now it's adding that effect between the two clips.
Exactly. So what I've got is I've got 2 clips, and I'm doing a barn door transition between the 2 clips. And I haven't had to use any keyboard shortcuts. I haven't had to learn the pull-down menus. I didn't have to learn the sequence of commands to be issued in order for this to happen. I just used terminology that a video editing professional would use, and I've got the computer to
Barn
do
door
something for me.
transition. Now that's a.
So this is an example of what a natural language interface would be like.
So, and that's exactly just the word, natural language interface. So we talk to the computer, giving it instructions as we would if it was another person in the room that we were giving directions to.
Exactly.
Al, that's truly tremendous. I can't tell you how impressed I am. But there was one last area that you were going to show me, which was talking about taking its text to voice translation, where it actually takes a text and the computer reads back to me.
Exactly.
So you've taken some of a previous script that we've used in one of the earlier shows, and now the computer is going to audition to be the new star of Dotto on Data, I understand.
That's true. Let's take a look at what he can do.
We have even begun hearing of a new type of company, the virtual corporation, where the principals of the company live in different cities and communicate with each other entirely through electronic means. People who work together each day could conceivably never see each other's face. I don't know if I like that idea or not, but I have it from some reliable sources that my personal business career would have moved ahead a lot faster if my colleagues had never seen my face.
I'm sure it doesn't work as cheaply as I do, though, so I feel I'm probably pretty safe. Al, that's been tremendous. I really want to thank you very much for coming and showing us a little peek at the future that's really here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Steve.
Let's see if I wanted to work a little bit harder on the inflection. If you accidentally delete a file, you can usually recover it using a disk utility package.
True.
It's amazing how fast 8 weeks can fly by when you're crunching reams of data, but here we are already at the end of the series. We've seen how data, bits and bytes of information, really do constitute the intangible mortar and cement of the world we are building day to day with the aid of the computer. The future belongs to those who are imaginative, clever, and enterprising enough to keep figuring out better, more efficient, and more productive ways of storing, handling, retrieving, managing, and delivering data in all its forms and formats. We sincerely hope this series is giving you a working knowledge of some of the more important data handling processes that we are currently using to educate, entertain, and enlighten our world. And most of all, we hope this information will inspire you to develop those data handling skills that will best complement your own talents, abilities, and interests. For the crew of Dotto on Data, I'm Steve Dotto. See you sometime in the very near, interactive future.
And that was Dotto on Data, every single episode. I really enjoyed that, Chad. It was really chill. It wasn't very action-packed or anything, but it was really interesting to see old technology and predictions and stuff like that, and to see whether or not, it actually came true. And it kind of did. We got voice recognition in our phones. We do have a lot of text-to-speech, like to the point of where AI text-to-speech has been a problem with certain things. So yeah, I that was a really interesting trip through 1994 technology on the Mac. Hope y'all enjoyed it. We will be going through more videos later. I gotta find some to show with my next episode. But I do have my next episode is not going to be next week, but the week after. I'm going to be playing a Purple Moon game that's not a rocket game. I'll be playing Secret Paths in the Forest. So if you want to see me go through some girls having some hell of a problems, do check that out not next week, but the week after. Also this week, I will be doing the patron request gauntlet on my main stream with Sarduce. So do check us out at Retro Pals if you'd like to see us playing our patrons' requests. They have requested a lot of weird stuff, so it's going to be a good one. All right, let me find someone to raid here real quick. Raid. Let's see, who have we got here? We got Sebmal playing Billy Hatcher. Let's do some of that. Say hi, be cool, and I can't think of a raid message, so think of a good one. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.